Thank you, those that are serving now. Lord, we are 242 years old. We are the United States of America, and may we always say, in God we trust, for it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Here with us tonight to perform our national anthem from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, please welcome the 82nd Airborne Division's All-American Chorus.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Let's hear it one more time for the 82nd Airborne Division's All-American Chorus. And overhead, the F-22s from Tyndall Air Force Base for tonight's flyover. Continuing a Daytona tradition that dates back to the 1970s, please join us in honoring three of America's bravest heroes on this Independence Day weekend. Each of these individuals was awarded a Medal of Honor for going above and beyond the call of duty while participating in daring operations against enemy forces. Please welcome Staff Sergeant Don Jenkins, Command Sergeant Major Gary Luttrell, and Master Sergeant Leroy Petrie.
That is the highest and most prestigious personal military decoration anyone can receive. What an honor.
Staff Sergeant Jenkins, NPFC.
was a beautiful day, the sun beat down, I had the radio on, I was driving, trees flew by, me and Del were singing, Little Runaway, I was flying, yeah, running down a dream that never would come to me, working on a mystery, going wherever it leads, running down a dream. Whoa, whoa, yeah, running down a dream that never would come to me, running down a dream. Oh, yeah, running down a dream.
It's Monster Energy Cup Series Coke Zero Sugar 400 from Daytona Beach, Florida, and Daytona International Speedway. For more of the stories that we're going to be following tonight, let's go to pit road. We start with Marty Snyder.
Hey, Rick, even though Chase Elliott starts on the pole tonight, he told me stage one is very critical for this race team. Why? He said, I've learned over the years that at restrictor plate racing, you have to prove your car has speed. If you show it has speed, teams will work with you. Help me early in the race, and let's help each other late and maybe get to victory lane. Kelly?
Kurt Busch has just one restrictor plate race win on his resume, but it was a big one, the Daytona 500 last year. He told me this morning his tank is full of desire to win here again. If he does that tonight, it'll be his first win of the season, a box this team is anxious to check off. They qualified 23rd, but expect their car to handle better once they get into the race, Parker.
And Eric Jones only has one top 10 on a restrictor plate race. It was here last year. And in speaking to his crew chief, Chris Gale, he told me, look, where we are in the points position right now, we're only one to the good on the playoff leaderboard. We desperately need stage points, and we desperately want a win. Tonight is that opportunity, but he has a tall task ahead of him, starting 29th, Dave.
Parker, last night, the 25-year-old Kyle Larson from Elk Grove, California, did something he never had in his career before. He won at Daytona. His crew chief told me, I love it when he races the day before because he always learns something. Could he have learned enough to win 2 times in one weekend at Daytona? It is possible, Steve Letarte, and if he does it, you'll have one of the best views on top of the Peacock Pit Box.
I will, Dave, down here in pit stall 3. You mentioned what Kyle Larson learned last night. What I've learned about covering NASCAR from Daytona for 25 years is it never is short for excitement, never disappointing on action. Look at just the race last night. A huge accident where we see the 60 of Austin Cindric tumble down through turn 1. Think back to the Daytona 500 just back in February. The accident, Austin Dillon going to victory lane, and Dale Jr. I'll never forget race 1 for me, for NBC in the booth. Your last win here at Daytona. It was breathtaking, not just because of your win, but because of this accident. Daytona, always full of excitement.
It sure is, Steve. That was a real scary moment. We couldn't celebrate till we knew Austin was out of the car. And, man, what a night for us, y'all. It's a night for y'all, too. Big night for you guys up in the booth. But, you know, anytime you win here at Daytona, it's special. It obviously means a lot to me and my family. And to be able to add another win to the win column, man, is a big night.
I think what's so great about this race is you just never know what's going to happen until it's over. You know, you can come down and be leading the race. Think about the Daytona 500 leading the race on the back straightaway. Eric Almirola didn't win the race. Somebody else did. Austin Dillon knocked him out of the way. That's Daytona. We talk about the wrecks, but also those late race changes of position and that opportunity to take the lead away and get that big win.
You guys have used the word aggressive, and I think another word, craziness, because that's exactly what we're about to experience. And to get there, we got to fire the engines. So it's time for the command. Let's go trackside.
Race fans, it's time for the most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command to start engines, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Colonel Gregory Gadsden.
Drivers, start your engines!
All right, fire it up when you're ready. Fire it up.
I love a great command. It gets everybody fired up. 40 cars coming to life, drivers strapped in, 400 miles in front of us from Daytona. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of NASCAR. Chevrolet, the most awarded car company 4 years in a row. And by Subway Restaurants.
Oh my God! Oh my God, that is not good.
Keselowski wins at Daytona.
And Stenhouse is going back to victory lane.
Tonight's starting grid brought to you by Coke Zero Sugar. Up front, once again, it is all Hendrick Motorsports. Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, they will make up that row. Chase Elliott just 22 years old. Alex Bowman only 25 years old. The youth of the sport up front.
Everybody always talks about Penske Motorsports. They're the dominant team at the plate tracks. Well, I think the best guy out of that group is Brad Keselowski, starting here in row 2. And in row 3, we got last year's winner at this race, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. The big surprise right here, Michael McDowell. He had his career best finish of 4th here in this race last year.
In row 5, we have Austin Dillon, this year's Daytona 500 winner. Starting next to Clint Boyer, has 2 plate wins, but never here at Daytona. Starting behind them, we have Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney ran great here in February. Got caught up in a late race wreck, didn't get the win done. Starting in row 7 behind them is Martin Truex, who I can't believe it, but's never won a plate race. And then look who's next to him. Kyle Larson, and then in row 8, Kyle Busch. These two put on a great show last week. They're starting right next to each other again. Could expect more from these two.
All right, well, let's talk with Kyle Larson because he did put on an incredible show a week ago, and as a matter of fact, was able to get back to victory lane yesterday in the Xfinity Series. Let's dial him up on the radio.
Hey, Kyle, it's the guys up in the NBC booth. You with us?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, bud, you've been part of 2 great finishes in the last 2 races. Can we expect more of that tonight?
Yeah, I hope so. Our crew, I think Chevy was okay, I thought. The little bit of drafting practice we did. Felt more comfortable than normal, so that was good. This race is always crazy, though, so just going to try and stay out of trouble tonight.
So how do you do that? How do you be aggressive and do the things you need to do to win this race and stay out of trouble?
Well, I don't really think I'm the guy to ask because I've yet to stay out of trouble in this race. So I don't know. If our car drives good enough, we can be aggressive and try and get to the front, maintain track position. But if not, and our car's a handful, maybe you ride a little bit and wait till we get to the end of the race. But I don't know. I haven't done a good job in this race in the past.
Well, everybody in the sport knows how talented you are, so I'm sure you're going to get it figured out. Good luck tonight, bud.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we see that we're going to be riding along with Kyle Larson, but we'll ride along with a few different drivers. Take us through it, guys.
Well, you see right here, we got Bubba Wallace Jr., the Coca-Cola cam, got that great head cam, helmet cam. It's going to be awesome. Going to be some great shots tonight. We just talked to Kyle Larson. He's got the Credit One bank cam on the roof. Austin Dillon, Daytona 500 winner, Coca-Cola cam.
Here we are riding along to number 17, a Ricky Stenhouse with the 5th third bank cam. Abby Harvick, number 4, Jimmy John's cam. And this is the view everybody wants tonight, Jeff.
Yes, for sure.
Number 9, Chase Elliott in the Chevrolet cam.
Now, folks, fans were invited to submit a design for the Busch Pole Award Trophy that will go to the driver that wins the most pole awards throughout the season. And Tyler Turner from Reynolds, Illinois, created the winning entry, deciding to include a cup in his design after thinking, what's a Busch trophy without a cup to drink from? I think it's pretty smart. We'll see him and his trophy in November at the NASCAR Awards in Vegas when he presents it to the winning driver. Then Chase Elliott with the pole win here from yesterday. And now we're seeing the field make their way back to pit road, a tradition here at Daytona, honoring the military on this 4th of July weekend as the stars and stripes continue to be on our mind. The Army, Navy, Air Force Marines, and Coast Guard, all represented, as everyone on pit road and in the grandstand will rise to honor our military, our men and women that wear the uniform proudly every day, protecting our freedoms and allowing us to do the things that we love to do, like what we're doing right now. Enjoying on this 4th of July weekend a great race atmosphere. So much respect in this sport for our military on a weekly basis.
We proudly recognize members from all 5 branches of our nation's military. The United States Army, United States Marine Corps, United States Navy, United States Air Force, and the United States Coast Guard. NASCAR, Coca-Cola, Daytona International Speedway, and the fans would like to thank the women and men of the United States Armed Forces, past and present, for their service. Thank you for making the commitment and sacrifice to protect our freedoms. We honor each and every one of you. 242 years ago, the Declaration of Independence was adopted, and this great nation took shape. Throughout that time, one constant has remained: the steady, unwavering strength of the United States Armed Forces. Tonight, we celebrate the freedom and the sacrifices made to maintain it. NASCAR salutes those who served and those who continue to serve the United States of America.
Spotlight, of course, shines a little brighter on 4th of July weekend, but it's always appreciated every week in NASCAR. From the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, about to get underway with the 18th race of the season. And make sure to jump into the Fantasy League. We have our own Fantasy League, NASCAR.com/NBC Sports Fantasy. If you want to join us, we would gladly accept you. 10 races up till the playoffs. You guys are doing pretty good, right?
Yeah, we are doing good. Now, this race is tough because you really got to pay attention because you got your driver in the garage. You need to move him out if you want to put him in the starting lineup before the beginning of this last stage. So be paying attention to what's going on with your lineup.
Yeah, this is the one that's going to be the toughest to call because so many guys can get up here and make it a good night. So trying to pick those 5, trying to pick the right 5 is going to be tough.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out when I'm going to have time to move my garage driver out. I might be gone for just a moment during the broadcast.
I'll let you know. And again, you're playing against us. You're playing against the
then I'm okay.
Don't let him know nothing.
Oh, okay. I'll forget about that then. Hey, earlier yesterday, Todd Lewis of the Golf Channel came and did a ride around with Denny Hamlin, and they talked about seeing the air. Listen.
You know, I hear at Daytona International Speedway, Dale Earnhardt used to say that he could see the air. Do you vision that as well?
What he's basically saying is he can see pockets of air starting to form. So you can see 2 cars up in front of you. If they're disturbing the air, you can feel it in your car. Your car will start to pick up RPM because there's less resistance on it. If you get 2 cars side by side, just think about if you follow one tractor trailer, that's a good amount of air on the highway that your car starts buffering around. If you put 2 beside each other, there's almost no air coming to your car, so there's nothing going to your back spoiler. And that's the only thing that slows us down is air touching the back spoiler. That slows our car.
Well, we heard Denny Hamlin talking about seeing the air, Junior, and I know I could never see the air, and I always wondered when your dad talked about seeing the air, what exactly was he referring to?
Yeah, he couldn't see it either, but he knew where it was, and he always insisted on wearing an open face helmet. And he said he could feel the pressure in the car change and feel and hear the motor better to be able to understand when he's working that air properly. You can see him side drafting Kyle Petty right there. He's going to side draft old Dale Jarrett right here in the Yates Rocket. See him side draft and move away. He's trying to get away from Dale Jarrett so they don't side draft him back. I mean, I don't know if Dad invented the side draft, but he certainly was the best at it.
Well, I think you learned fairly well. you guys mentioned 34 wins for your dad here, 17 for you.
Yeah, I watched him run a lot of races here, win a lot of races here, and I wondered, we never talked about racing, but I wondered how that worked. And so when I got out here, I started trying everything I could, and that's what I like about a plate racer today is the guy that's out there moving around, trying to learn something. Even if it doesn't work, just trying to make anything happen.
And I think that's what's so important about the start of this race. It's 160 to go. They're getting ready to come to the green flag, but the things you learn right now are the things you can apply later in the race. I want to see who's going to be aggressive. There's some drivers out there that are going to try to, right now, get the lead and never give it up. The race for track position, in my opinion, in today's restrictor plate racing is exceptionally important. If you get it, do everything you can to keep it.
Pace car's about to make the hard left turn onto pit road. That will leave the field in the hands of Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman making up row 1. Fans on their feet as the Coke Zero Sugar 400 is underway.
Interesting restart, not a real tight restart. Of course, cars are going to bunch up and start to draft a little bit as they get more speed. Chase Elliott got out of that lead pretty easy. And it's real important to get that lead early. You want to lead every lap. That's the safest place to be, Jeff.
Yeah, as this race progresses, we're going to see way more aggressive restarts with people trying to hit each other and shove each other to try to get that lead.
You say that's the safest place to be, but about right here is where Eric Almirola was out front with just less than a half a lap in the Daytona 500, and he got turned around.
That was the last lap. Anything goes on the last lap.
Different.
But the safest place to be during the entire race is going to be up in the front, and you want to work all night long to try to stay there, and that way you don't have to work to get there later. If you're leading this race 100 laps to go, you're in great position. You want to be leading it with about 50 laps to go as they start to get down those last several cautions. So it's really important to not relax and give up track position now. You want to keep it all night long. Make it easy on your pit crew. Make it easy on your crew chief to know what strategy to use. Do all that by staying out front.
So right here you can see Austin Dillon. He wants to go up there and just give McDowell just a touch, get him moving. He's got to be careful because the 17 car of Stenhouse is in front of McDowell. If he hits him too hard, he'll shove him into the 17 and cause a wreck.
Yeah, that'll be a lot more aggressive later in the race. Right now, everybody's trying to take care of each other. You're obviously trying to take advantage of each other, and if you can get a position, you get it. But you don't want to start no crashes this early.
3 wide already back here. And Junior, you mentioned being in the middle of 3 wide might be the most nervous place on the entire track.
Yeah, you need a lot of information from your spotter to be able to navigate a situation like that.
Well, out of the back of Chase Elliott's car, I think the most aggressive plate racer on the racetrack is right here, the 2-car Brad Keselowski. I can promise you, if he can get the lead, he's going to be doing everything he can. Big move by Bowman right here. He's got his teammate Jimmy Johnson, Chase Elliott with the block. Now he's got to hope Keselowski doesn't get a run. Keselowski's far enough up on him where I don't think he can get down there and block him.
He committed to that top and thought that even if Keselowski did get to the inside, he's got 2 teammates behind him, so he's got good loyalty behind him to be able to reclaim that position. Marty.
Hey, Junior, I found it interesting what Chase Elliott told us in Countdown to Green. He said, I feel like early on in the race, I have to establish I have speed. I want to show other cars that they can work with me and trust me. He said, I learned that yesterday in the Xfinity Series race. They saw we had a fast car, and all of a sudden, I had a lot of friends. So, Junior, for a young driver like Chase Elliott, you agree with him? How important is it to show, hey, I've got some speed, work with me?
That's absolutely true, and you want to start doing that as soon as you unload the race car. You go out there and practice, and you show those guys that you can make the moves and that your car can complete the moves. They know by Sunday when this race starts, or Saturday night, in this example, that you are a guy that's going to have a fast car and that's going to help them move toward the front, so they're going to be more willing to work with you.
Yeah, Chase Elliott, he's trying to drag that line to the outside. Look at what he's doing. He's entering the corner on the wall, and he's staying there, not going to the bottom. They're hoping to build some momentum on the outside line and make the inside where it doesn't work, and right now everybody's going with them. As long as they stay single file, it's going to be hard to get that inside line moving again.
So Chase Elliott is mashing the gas right now with his right foot. But on Wednesday, when he was jumping into a pool, having some fun for the 4th of July, he sprained his right ankle. How difficult is that for a guy with a sprained right ankle to be mashing the gas right now?
Yeah, that's a great question to ask, because he's going to be pushing on that gas pedal all night long and pushing hard. Man, he's going to be trying to get everything he can out of this car every single lap. So he might not be sore or might not think that that ankle is going to bother him this weekend, but he's going to be dealing with that after the race for sure.
Junior, there were times that the inside of the car would get so hot that I would actually take my left foot and put on the gas pedal.
Yeah.
And because my heel was burning on my right foot, so I'd pick it up off the ground and put my left foot on the throttle and use that. You can do that here because you're wide open. You can't do that at Charlotte, but you can certainly do it here.
Let's take a look at the helmet cam here for Bubba Wallace Jr. and see exactly what he's dealing with here in the outside line. He's trying to move forward.
Saw 204 miles an hour there for Bubba.
Yep. See, back in the pack, it's a lot tougher to sort of navigate. You got to lift a lot. You're getting big runs on guys, but sometimes you don't have anywhere to go. You kind of boxed in. If he goes 3 wide up the middle, is it too early to do that? You know, you get yourself in a crash, and then you're the guy everybody's going to blame for starting to look here.
Whoa,
look how hard he had to lift up right there.
And that let the inside line get a run. When you get that big of a lift, something happened in front of it. We couldn't see it, but Junior, that's what the inside line needs. They need something like that to happen to slow that momentum down and get the inside rolling.
Yeah. Either, as a driver, you're either looking far enough ahead to see that happening before it happens, or see those cars 4 or 5 rows ahead. They start lifting, you got to be ready to lift, or you're getting this information from your spotter. You got a great spotter that can give you that information that, man, lift, they're all stacking up here. Kelly.
And Junior, who can forget that emotional runner-up finish for Bubba Wallace in the Daytona 500? They showed they had good speed then, and they're feeling really optimistic today. His crew chief, Drew Blickensderfer, told me they're really happy with the car. It has really good drivability. They said they intentionally took some speed out of the 43 car to help with that drivability. They made some long runs in practice. Bubba knows exactly what to expect as the tires wear on this car. They see this as a big opportunity for this 43.
He gained a lot of respect in the Daytona 500 when he had a runner-up finish in the biggest race the sport has to start off the season. That Daytona 500 second place finish as it's dicing up at the front once again. Here comes Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Very aggressive and a very good plate racer, making the move on the outside.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson was on the outside lane playing with all his teammates, playing nice, and then he decided he was going to drive to the bottom, and when he did, he got that inside line moving, and it checked that outside line up, and that made Chase Elliott go to the bottom. So the move by Jimmy Johnson changed the entire tempo of what Chase Elliott was trying to do. Now he's back on the bottom of the racetrack.
You use the word loyalty. Well, teammates going different ways right now.
Grab an ice-cold Coke and buckle up. You're watching the Coke Zero Sugar 400 on NBC.
And you need to buckle up. They have been 2 and 3 wide, and a good fight for the lead has started up. John Deere 3 wide Gator brings you this moment where drivers were 3 wide. You see Clint Boyer on the inside, Logano right in the middle, and Jamie McMurray on the high side. TJ Majors is Joey Logano's spotter, and TJ Majors very familiar with you, Dale Jr. He was your spotter for many years.
Absolutely. Spotter's so important at this racetrack. That's where they earn their money, man. They're going to be talking to their drivers all night long, trying to help them get around this racetrack and help them navigate the traffic, know where the runs are coming from, who's pushing who, how strong the runs are from behind, how to block them. A big change in the lead here, obviously, with Stenhouse now out front. McDowell, man, he's worked his way up into second place. He was a surprise in qualifying. It's be a surprise in the race tonight.
We see Stenhouse Jr. leading the race, and before we left, we said that the Hendrick train went to the bottom of the racetrack, and when it did, it created a big line on the outside with all the Hendrick cars on the inside. Watch this shot. McDowell gives Stenhouse Jr. just shoves him out in front of Chase Elliott, and that's how he got the lead. Then once he got the lead, he drug the line to the top. Right now, the top line has been the best line. once they get lined up, single file, go to the top, it seems like they drive away from the bottom. It's going to take something like happened earlier, Junior, where two guards got together, the top guys have to lift to get that bottom line with the momentum.
And I was surprised that with the Hinter cars lined up and working together that they weren't able to fend that off, or they did, you know, the Chase maybe wasn't a little more aggressive to fend that off, but they're committed to each other on that bottom groove, and if they stay there, they may be able to get that line going again, work their way back up toward the front.
They're going 200 miles an hour, and a wiggle there out of Austin Dillon in the 3, a big wiggle. Austin running third right now. But when they're running 200 miles an hour and somebody comes and hits you in the back bumper like that and gives you that extra little burst of speed, what's it feel like?
You just want them to do it on the straightaway. You don't want them to do it in the corner or obviously in the tri-oval. The cars are very loose and a handful already by themselves in the tri-oval, so you don't want anybody pushing you there. And it's where they push you, Jeff. You want the guys to push you on the right rear quarter panel. That's where it's going to be the most comfortable. If they get into that left rear quarter panel and hit you, it's easily a way to turn a guy around.
Yeah, and it's so scary getting on that right rear quarter panel and pushing on that rear bumper, because if you ever get mislined, now you're on the right rear quarter and you turn them head on into the wall. So that's the most effective place, but it's kind of scary to do it. And as we look back on Micah McDowell, what a great story right now. I mean, this little team is bringing the fight to all the big guys at the Cup Series, and they've got a Roush engine, they've got Roush able to build this car, and he's following a Roush car, Dave.
That's right, Jeff, and a small group of people who have help from a big organization like Roush. But Roush has been struggling everywhere but at the restrictor plate track. So when Roush does well here, so does Front Row Motorsports, Micah McDowell, and David Reagan. Right now, McDowell showing that they've got the same strength that RFR has.
It's great to see these small teams have a shot. That's what Daytona provides, Daytona and Talladega.
Let's take a look at this replay here of bump draft, and you see down the front straightaway through the tri-oval, he gets into him. That's a decent push. I mean, that's nothing that upset McDowell. You know, coming out of the tri-oval, he's trying to hit him as soon as he can. So as soon as he gets straight, he wants to give him that shove. So Dillon did a great job through the tri-oval of setting it up, being able to push him as soon as their car settled onto the straightaway. Parker.
Guys, how about Ty Dillon there running in fifth? Remember, his brother won the Daytona 500 earlier this year. I asked him, you know, when you come to these super speedway races, do you enjoy it? Do you look forward to it? He goes, you know, a couple of years ago, I made a conscious decision to like this kind of racing, because you can go either way. You can hate it and not do well, or you can like it and enjoy it and get great runs. And this race last year, he came to the late in the race and had a shot at winning. He said, that gave me so much confidence to come here tonight.
Confidence is key. If you're confident behind the wheel of your car, you gotta feel good about doing whatever you want to do.
Some pretty interesting stuff happening right here, Jeff.
Yes.
Denny Hamlin trying to make some moves on Joey Logano. He's getting in and out of line, he sees this whole line starting to form up high, but he's still looking.
There he goes.
Still trying to make passes and trying to, it's almost like I hate to say, almost like a side job, man. He's trying to get up, he's trying to get a run on that guy in side draft and get up in front of him before that hole closes.
And he saw these lap cars coming. He knew that they were going to be on the outside, and I think that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to form a line on the inside.
The risk is that he loses all these positions. That's right. And he's willing to take that risk. We've seen Denny Hamlin do this time and time again when the whole field lines up on the top. Denny's going to be one of those guys that'll try his hardest to form a line on the bottom. He doesn't like sitting in line and riding around the top of the racetrack all day.
He's trying to find, oh, there you go. He found a hole. So he tried something, didn't really pay a price for it.
Daytona 500 winner back in 2016, Denny Hamlin has shuffled back a bit, trying to be aggressive, trying to take some spots away. One thing you have to have while you're watching the races, NASCAR Mobile. It's the official app of NASCAR, and it puts race coverage and live in-car cameras right at your fingertips. Search in the App Store, or you can visit NASCAR.com/mobile. You're watching Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Daytona International Speedway. And Steve, this race a little bit different. The length of the stages make it a little bit different for strategy tonight.
It does, Rick. If you come back here in February or the first race at Talladega, all of these cars would have been required to come to pit road during the first stage for fuel. They couldn't run the entire stage in one tank of fuel, but here at Daytona, the 400-mile race, it's a 40-lap first stage. I think that is really driving some of the racing you see, because these drivers know they're safe to run all the way to the end of stage one if we don't have a yellow. I think that is what's driving some of the tempo on the racetrack. Marty?
Steve, you know how hard these pit crew members work. We're following Ray Black Jr. on the track right now, and he will have Brianna Daniels, who will be the first African-American tire changer to pit a Cup car tonight on this car, and also Brianna O'Leary. She is also going to be on this crew changing tires. I had a chance to talk to Daniels, who you saw just a moment ago. She was actually a starting point guard for Norfolk State on their basketball team, and she told me, hey, I could have played professional basketball in Europe, but I heard about the NASCAR Drive for Diversity Combine, and I thought, why not me? Why don't I try out for that? That was 2016. 2.5 years later, both of those ladies have worked so hard to get to this moment tonight, to pit this car, and they will on this first stop of the evening. Rick, what about that accomplishment for those ladies to get here and compete on this pit road tonight? Still athletes. I asked both of them, are you nervous? They said, nope, we're athletes, we're ready.
Well, a lot of pressure on the pit crews here, because one little mistake, it's difficult to gain track position on the track, but you can grab a lot when you're on pit road, so a lot of pressure there.
Well, it is very difficult to gain positions on the track. We've seen that. Jamie McMurray is leading this inside line. There were about 4 more cars in this line, and several of them have bailed out. Clint Boyer, he was in there, bailed out. There's been several, then he popped back down. They've been kind of going back and forth. They'll go down there, then they get scared and they go back, then there's a hole and they go back down to the bottom. So everyone's afraid right now, Junior, to make this bottom, because it just doesn't seem like it's been able to work.
Well, it's working well enough to stay there, and I think the more guys that would, you know, to believe in it and get down there and be a part of it. I'm sure maybe there are some guys in that outside line that want to be there. They just can't get in that line. There's not room, obviously, for them to pull down in front of somebody, but they're working this bottom, and that bottom is going to eventually be something that they'll have to deal with. It's going to find its way toward the front.
And what's happening right now, the spotters are talking to the drivers that are in the outside lane, and they're saying the inside lane is building. It's getting a little bit better. Somebody's going to hang a left and try to lead that inside line. Who will that guy be? Let's go on board the 9 car.
I'm okay with being down here. Obviously, just needs a push help. Yeah, we just don't have enough help right now behind us.
It takes a lot of guys down there to make it work. I mean, you got to work together too, and there's a lot of things that you have to do with the side draft. When you're in the inside line and trying to, you know, kind of struggling to beat that outside line, you got to side draft the heck out of that guy in the driver's door, pin him up against the fence. And what that will do, it'll hold him in position. Even if somebody comes up behind him, rarely will they be able to push him through. And what that does is gives your help an opportunity to come up and help you on the inside. So, like, the one should be really side drafting that 21 car Menard as hard as he can on the straightaway to hold that position until Chase can get up there and help.
Surprisingly, the top 5 that started this race aren't even running in the top 10 right now. That's how much positions changed quickly. Kelly.
Rick, you guys talk about drivers trying that low lane. Well, Jamie McMurray in the 1 car had been running the high lane, but he said I was just getting a really good run, so he talked it over with his spotter and said, hey, do you think it's worth making a run to the bottom? And they basically said, you know what, we've got nothing to lose at this stage. They feel like they can always make a move back into that high line if they need to. Remember, Jamie McMurray trying to snap a 165 winless streak, and this could be just the place to do it, Marty.
Kelly Denny Hamlin getting in the middle there trying to mix it up, but Chase Elliott and his team, it's a numbers game. They're trying to get the feel for how that bottom line is going to work. In fact, Eddie DeHaan told him, you can move up if you want. Chase chose to stay on the bottom line, so they're trying to get those numbers, Parker, to work on the bottom if they can.
Marty, I think I know the problem. In speaking to Clint Boyer, who's been between the top line and the bottom line trying to make it work the other day, he joked to me. He said, you know, the problem is about getting those lines to work is Dale Jr. isn't out there. No one knows who to follow anymore. No one's leading the pack on the bottom. We need you out there, Dale, is what he said.
Yeah, that's a nice compliment.
I tell you what, I think a lot of drivers are going to start following the 17. He has had some incredible races at these restrictor plate tracks, and once again out front here at Daytona. Stenhouse Jr. has led 19 laps already in his win last year. He led only 17 laps of that race. Six laps remain in stage one of the Monster Energy Cup Series Coke Zero Sugar 400, Daytona International Speedway. NBC Sports Championship season continues. World's best golfers vying for the coveted Claret Jug. You don't want to miss the Open, July 19th through the 22nd on Golf Channel and NBC. Jordan Spieth trying to defend his championship, get back on track. Steve, as we're closing in on the end of stage one, will someone try some strategy and come to pit road before the end of the stage?
Yeah, it's a great question, Rick. We have seen it at Talladega where cars will peel off right here, take a left, come to pit road with 3 laps to go. The idea is come in, get tires and fuel, knowing the rest of the field will pit at the end of the stage. The concern is lap times here at Daytona, 3 or 4 seconds faster than Talladega. Therefore, your risk of going a lap down is higher. Math says you can pit, but you can have 0 issues, Jeff. A slow pit stop, a mistake by the driver, and you're losing a lap. That's a big risk for anyone in this lead pack.
Yeah, it is a big risk, but the guy that we've seen be willing to make the risk to try to pick up position so far is that one car, Jamie McMurray. See Joey Logano, he just jumped down in front. It's 5 to go. It's time to start making something happen. The 21 car, Menard, he went with him.
On the under.
There's a 12 car. Now who won?
Blaney as
Who
well.
won? I said a 12 car.
And look at who's came all the way down to block. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Michael McDowell both seeing that happen, and they came to the bottom of the track.
We were single file, and in half a lap, now look where we are. We got a race on our hands here, fellas, coming here. These points are so critical, especially these playoff points, because nobody's getting any this year except the big 3.
Now big block. You're going to see the gold. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is just block, block, block. It's been easy for him. It's not going to be easy anymore.
I think Michael McDowell's also blocking. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is staying out in front of Michael McDowell, but McDowell's doing most of the blocking right now.
Those guys, I've seen some handling issues off of turn 2. The 22 car, Joe Logano, had to back off real hard off of turn 2. Late in the run here, can this bottom work, or will these guys have handling issues on corner exit?
Old Ty Dillon, he just hung a left, trying to get on that bottom.
Dillon brothers right now running second and third. Austin Dillon in second. Now Michael McDowell has made that top line move just a bit faster. He moves up to third. Ty Dillon, the bottom line, stalling a bit.
And you guys know Ricky Stenhouse Jr. wants to win this stage. They do not have a single stage win this year. 0 playoff points. So even the 1 he would get for staying out front here is critical to make the playoffs.
Man, I'm seeing these guys off the turn 2. That bottom groove, they're not handling very well down there. It's late. Handling's going to be an issue on long runs tonight.
A lot of learning going on as we get closer to the end of this stage. And Michael McDowell down low, it looks like he might lose that top draft.
That was just a mental mistake right there of not really paying attention and blocking every single run a guy gets on you. He was pretty committed. He was pretty comfortable that these guys were going to take care of him in that top line, and he opened up the door of opportunity. Someone took it.
Now it's 3 wide.
Ryan Blaney said, I'm not going to follow you. I'm going to go to the inside. And once again, they're diving for positions, aggressive. Under 2 laps to go.
And how long would it take him to get that position back? You know, you make that move, you open up the door, somebody's going to take it. You have to defend this entire race.
Keselowski trying to make something happen on the bottom, but he doesn't have any help. Clint Boyer's back there in the 14. Here comes Joey Logano in the 22.
See, I think Stenhouse Jr., I think he's going to have to go to the bottom. If he doesn't, then they can just hang a left and get next to him. Enough of them make that effort. That would probably work if he runs the top here in 1 and 2.
That's absolutely right.
One more time around in stage 1. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. out front.
Let's see what he does. Is he going to stay on the top or go to the bottom?
Kurt Busch dives down low. He's got to run, see where it goes. Got a big gap between him and the next car. Probably going to fizzle out on the back straightaway. Let's see it. Dillon, they creates a run and maybe turns left, like you said, Jeff, and tries to take that lead.
It's Kyle Busch.
He gets a little bit of quarter panel on the 42 side draft, and he's going to get help. Comes William Byron to the inside. He's got a great run up to Austin Dillon. He goes high.
Here comes the 18 of Kyle Busch. Trying to make that high line work. Austin Dillon trying to block. It's not going to work this time, though. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 17 out front. 3 wide as they fight for second at the end of stage 1. Stenhouse Jr. winning that stage. Kyle Busch, what a move he made to move up to second to end stage 1. Kyle Larson, William Byron, Chase Elliott, all in the top 5.
Points matter.
Man, points do matter. And also, that got Chase Elliott. He had fallen pretty far back. That got him back up to 5th place. William Byron did a nice job getting the 4th out of that. Fun racing.
So many times these drivers have said their blood pressure goes up to about 180. Well, it's coming back down now.
Down a dream that never would come to me. Working on a mystery, going wherever it leads. Running down a dream.
NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Pizza Hut. No one out pizzas the Hut. Monster Energy. Unleash the Beast. And by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Tomorrow on the Verizon IndyCar Series on NBCSN, Will Power won the pole. And of course, Will Power won the Indianapolis 500 earlier this year. How great is it going to be to have the Indy 500 on NBC next year?
Oh, we're going. I was just going to say, that's going to be my first Indy 500 that I'm ever going to see in person. So why don't we just all rent a motorhome?
I love it.
Can I come?
Steve. Y'all hear something? Oh, yeah. I hear something.
I heard Steve yell, can I come?
He's our tour director, man.
Yeah.
We got to take Steve.
We're going to go down there and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, that is going to be an incredible race. And we've got a great one in front of us here. Right, Marty?
Indeed, Rick, going to be a little bit of a longer stop for Kevin Harvick and his race team. If you see inside the car, we run a right side window here in the Cup Series cars. The hoses attached to that window for Kevin Harvick's team have come unattached, and his feet have gotten very hot inside the race car. So, Steve, how critical is it that Rodney Childers and the team get those hoses reattached here on this pit stop?
Well, you see him missing right there on the right side of the car. Two issues. One, you mentioned it, his feet are going to get hot. The second issue is there are rules to how air can be inserted into the car. If you have that duct open, it has to go into a hose and it has to end in a certain position. So if those hoses are off at the end of the event, I think NASCAR will have an issue. They don't have any problem if they fall off and you try to correct it, but they're going to have to do it right now, their first opportunity to do so.
So the field getting ready to come down to pit road for their first stops of the day, and we'll go to Dave Burns.
Last night's winner, today's stage one, third place, Kyle Larson in the 42. His car was a little bit to the tight side, but he said, I'd rather be that way than loose. They'll make some adjustments as they come down here. The big question will be 2 or 4 tires. Looks like they're going to take 4. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 17 stage winner said, I like the way my car drives, but I haven't been back in the pack. They're going to leave it the way it is, a 4-tire stop, Kelly.
Kyle Busch's biggest concern was that he was just a little bit loose getting off the turn, so they're going to make a small chassis adjustment. They just asked him to back up so he can get out of his tight pit box. It was 4 tires for the 18, Marty.
Yeah, and Kelly, you see Kevin Harvick's team coming to a stop. Rodney Childers has told Kevin it's going to be a little bit of a longer stop, and Robert Cheddar Smith has gone over the wall to kind of get this done, the car chief for the 4 team, and now you're going to see him go inside that right side window, reattach those hoses to make sure that everything is good. Now the key here, Steve, obviously they can't go a lap down, so they've got to put tape around those ducts, make sure those hoses get in correctly. And you see the NASCAR official, you hear Tim Fiedel, the spotter, also telling them where the pace car is and where the field is. So that's critical information, right, Steve? You got to know where they are so you don't lose that lap.
Yeah, you cannot lose a lap this early in the race, but it should be a simple fix as long as they take their time. That's what they're doing. You see no panic, great information from the spotter, get it repaired in one shot.
Little zip tie there, trying to make sure that's tight. Race off pit road, brought to you by Kroger Click List. Keselowski gaining spots. Blaney 12 spots gained on pit road.
Grab an ice-cold Coke and buckle up. You're watching the Coke Zero Sugar 400 on NBC.
And Rutledge Wood always finds the most fun in the infield. Rutledge, where are you?
Rick, I am inside the infield on top of a custom 6-door truck that my buddy Jake here from Leesburg, Florida built. He's been coming here his whole life, but in this truck with his friends for 18 years. We're up on the scaffolding on the roof. I actually was able to come by here earlier and bring my buddy Mike Tirico to show him what a great view it is. You got 1 and 2, the backstretch, part of 4, but now Mike's got an even better view. Mike, where are you, buddy?
I've got a great view. I'm up here with Steve on top of the NBC pit box. This is great. Great place to watch the start of the race and the pit stops we just saw. So, crew chief, put that hat back on. What'd you learn from the first stage?
Well, what I learned is that we wondered if handling was going to matter, and you heard Dale and Jeff call out a couple times where cars, while they looked stable maybe to you and I, they were calling them out. They could see the cars moving around. That tells me that in one single 40-lap run, the handling went away. So that final stage, that 80-lap run, the crew chiefs are going to have to make good decisions on when to come to pit road.
Blazing hot in the daytime. Obviously, the sun goes down, lights come on. Anything change from a crew chief standpoint as we get into more of the night race?
Well, that's the debate. Every time you come, you argue with your driver. Oh, the sun's going to fix it. Don't worry. When the sun goes down, it's going to be fine. And that's really what you're wondering. Even the start of this race, it was still warm. You were up here with me. It's cooled down quite a bit. But, Mike, I have to pick on you. That first lap, when they came by, your eyes grew. We're close to the
really
track,
big. It's awesome. Just that you feel the roar of the engines and you feel it through your body. It's so great to watch. Is there no tie required in the pit
no
box?
tie. It's casual.
That's good.
Casual.
I'm out. Ties off, Rick.
All right, Dave.
Hey guys, they're having trouble with the 34 car of Michael McDowell that could have been a race winner today. They don't know if they can get fixed what they have going on with the toe. It is towed the wrong way, and they may have adjusted it the opposite way that they wanted to. So tough break early. We'll see if he can soldier on now or if he needs to come down for another stop.
How unfortunate for that 34 running so well. Keselowski, William Byron making up row 1.
Something happened to Ty Dillon on the start.
Ty Dillon doesn't get up to speed. He goes all the way down to the apron.
He has no fuel pressure in the 13 car. Just came on the radio.
Lucky it wasn't a wreck right there when it won't accelerate in the middle of the pack like that.
And the pack works their way through 1 and 2 as Ty Dillon will try to limp around in the 13.
Keselowski leading the race right now. Remember, he put on 2 tires, Junior. You and I wonder a little bit if that's going to be right for him on a long run.
See William Byron back here and say he's got a great push by Stenhouse. Well, what William Byron's going to do at a plate track? What's his moves going to be? Is he going to stay in line? Is he going to be aggressive? It's the first we've seen him in a cup car contending at a plate track.
I talked to him this morning. He said he was going to be aggressive. He said he thought that was the only way to run well is go and attack.
He's got great company behind him with Stenhouse and Chase Elliott. Those guys are going to push him hard and give him that opportunity.
He won an Xfinity race here last year. So
sure did. Got a great plate racer leading the pack, though. It's going to be hard to break the plane of the bumper of that 2 car because he's going to move back and forth to try to keep that lead and keep the momentum in his car. He's going to get in front of the line that's moving forward so he can get that shove and keep the speed and RPMs up in his car.
Kelly.
Guys, Jamie McMurray had to make a second trip down pit road in that 1 car. They saw a little bit of oil on the right rear tire. They didn't know where it was coming from. They brought him back down. The team is still trying to figure it out, asking Jamie to monitor his temps and all everything on the dash inside that cockpit. Marty?
Kelly, when we saw the race off pit road, we saw that Ryan Blaney was second. Unfortunately, they did not get the 12 car full, and because we're running these full stages, it has to be completely full of Sunoco fuel. So when they came back down, they put on left side tires. Also back in this pack, Kevin Harvick says he has a vibration. So a lot of cars we're going to keep an eye on in the back of the pack, Rick.
Uncontrolled tire for the 70, and around goes the 21. Paul Menard up in the air, but he keeps it down on the wheels. Paul Menard, when he got turned around, all 4 wheels looked as though they had come off the ground as he was sliding sideways.
A lot of damage to the hood. Otherwise, he's going to be able to put on tires. See a little damage to the left front there. He's going to be able to put on tires and be okay, but that damage to the hood there, that's going to be very concerning.
Be hard to fix. Left front fender.
Look at the roof.
Left front, lower nose, left front, lower nose. I don't know if we'll get the hood on it or not. We'll give it a shot.
They're talking about what they'll have to do if they want to stay in this race. He was running 15th. Take a look at what happens.
See him in outside line. Looks like he gets turned by the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Just a little hook there on the left rear quarter panel. spins him down through the grass.
This race is going to continue to get more aggressive. As we wind into it, we're going to see more accidents, more pushing, more shoving. Stuff's going to get wild.
Going to work on the 21 of Paul Menard. Want to take a couple looks now at what just took place in the Subway Fresh Take.
Well, we talked about the intensity picking up. You can see Jimmy Johnson behind Paul Menard. Jimmy's kind of in the middle of the racetrack. And right there you see the contact, but it's just hard from this view to tell if Paul came down on him or Jimmy moved up into the 21.
Jimmy didn't move up, I don't believe, but he didn't give him a lot of room. You know, Paul was right against the fence, and if Paul does move down just a little bit, which he did, he spins across the nose of 48. So just brace an accident there. Ingenuity on these guys to put this hood back together is what's impressing me. My crew chief down on the box says that they can't cover those holes where the flaps are ripped away and ripped out of that hood. But they're going to try to put that hood, keep that hood back on there.
Look at that hood just flapping. The tethers.
Yeah, I was going to say, thankfully tethered.
Yeah, those tethers keep that hood from going up into grandstands and getting into the fans. But it's beating the roof to death while it's doing it, just killing the splitter while it goes through this grass.
Hey, Jeff, two great things. Not only the tethers on the hood, but how about the roof flaps?
Oh,
I'm
man.
confident to say without those larger roof flaps that this new style car has run over the last few years, that car stays airborne because it gets hit in the worst situation. Those roof flaps deploy, the car sets right back on the racetrack. Those sometimes, you know, people don't notice them as much as they should, but that saved that car from going upside down.
Dave. 6 minutes, 5 crew members to repair the best they can and send the car back out. But NASCAR still has to approve it to go back on the racetrack. So the team had said, we're going to tape it down the best we can, see if they'll let us go with that. They heard you, Junior. They're not going to cover up those cow flaps. They're going to try to replace them so that car, if it does achieve liftoff, those flaps will help out with that. But this is the hard part. That's better than average tape, trying to hold down a big hood on a very fast race car.
The disadvantage right here is that they aren't going to restart with the leaders. They're coming to one to go, so they're going to be single file. They're not going to have, I'm sorry, they're not coming to one to go. Yeah, they are coming to one to go, so they're not going to be able to be in that pack. It's going to be hard for them to get up to minimum speed.
They're actually coming to green here, so he's going to have to get off pit road, try to get behind the pack. It will be very difficult to do. An amazing statistic, there are 2 drivers that have a streak of top 10 finishes at Daytona on the restrictor plate tracks, and one of them is Paul Menard. Do you know who the other one is? A streak of 3 top 10s in a row. Who? Allmendinger.
Oh, really?
AJ Allmendinger and Paul Menard are the only 2 drivers that have top 10 finishes in the last 3 races.
Let's get back to action.
We're about to. Brad Keselowski, William Byron. Keselowski in the 2, Byron in the 24. Coming back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag back in the air. And in the background, you saw Paul Menard coming off of pit road.
There's a real tight restart here. These guys are lined up tight on the bottom and the top. Hard to tell who's going to prevail here, Jeff. I see William Byron get out this lead for the first time. He's gotten a great shove from Kurt Busch. He does, it's clear. Will he be smart enough? Will he do what Keselowski does and move back and forth in front of the inside and outside line to try to keep that momentum up in his car? Or will he stay committed to that top?
Is that Tab Boyd's job? Tab Boyd, the spotter for the 24.
You know,
is he going to give him that information?
He can give him all the information he wants, but the driver's got to be able to know what to do with it. Got to have the experience to know what to do with it.
And it's a little hard as a rookie to assert yourself, right? You have to assert yourself and say, I'm going to lead this race no matter what, and that's what Williams going to have to do.
He went to the bottom. He got a good shove from the 2. I thought the 41 was going to get in his quarter panel and battle him side by side, but he went down there, got a good shove from the 2, keeps the lead.
How about riding right in the middle now? Just waiting for whichever line. Huge push. And around goes a 2. Too big of a push. He caught the 41.
The big one.
Logano's caught up in it.
Oh, my goodness.
Denny Hamlin. Austin Dillon has damage. Daniel Suarez trying to avoid. Ty Dillon sliding in. A wrecked 22 of Joey Logano sitting on the apron. A wrecked 2.
All the Penske cars right there. The one organization that everybody came here thinking they had the best shot to win, all 3 of their cars wiped out in this accident.
Ryan Blaney in the 12 sitting there in the grass. You saw the 2 of Brad Keselowski. A lot of damage to the 9 of Chase Elliott.
So many good cars. This wreck happened in the front of the field.
This is what Daytona's all about. Took out some contenders, and now this really is an opportunity race for somebody sitting out at 16, sitting out that top 16.
Denny Hamlin with big damage. Another fast car.
A big push we saw out of the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Was it too big of a push?
Well, let's take a look at the replay. Let's take a look at the replay from the 9 car first.
See all the damage to Chase Elliott.
It'll get pretty aggressive here, and Ricky was pushing him and also turning down the racetrack, and that was enough to turn the 2 car around. There's just so much happening right there, and they were coming up on Williams so fast that I believe Brad was sort of throttling down a little bit because he was going to run to the back of the 24, because you see the 24 blocking here. So Brad's probably throttling down a little bit, and Stenhouse coming across the nose.
Yeah, so right here, the 17. Watch the 17 when he gets into the rear bumper. Right there, hits him in the right rear, and that's what sends him. We talked about that earlier. That's where you want to bump draft somebody. You want to bump them in the right rear. But when you do that, and the speed's wrong, and it's misaligned, and also he's turning left, then that literally just shoves the left rear bumper to the inside of the car, and it shoots the nose straight to the wall.
And we've seen this generation of car. These guys, their bumpers don't line up all that great. We don't never see these guys lock bumpers like they used to, or like we see in the Xfinity Series. So anytime they make a push, they got to be careful. And that was incredibly, there's just so much happening there, as you see. Running up on William Byron so fast.
Look who gets through. The 31 of Ryan Newman. The 18 of Kyle Busch. But after that, everyone fighting to find some type of a clear racetrack. The 41, Jimmy Johnson sideways, but is there contact? He was still in the gas as it came up on the high banks. The big one just happening. The Monster Energy Cup Series Coke Zero Sugar 400. Listen in to Eric Jones's radio here.
This is the only race Stenhouse can win to get himself in, so he was like doing everything. Well, there's one live for tonight. Let's find out how many more we got. The 9, who's just in front of him points, has a ton of damage, so we can pick up some points here if we just keep getting through this whole deal. 10-4.
Already thinking about points. That playoff not far away now. Listen into the 17 radio as well of Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Calls and nose. Get your head straight, man. That's just happened. Not a big deal. I'm sure it looks bad, but he got blocked pretty bad. Get your head right, man. Go win this next stage. 10-4.
Well, you hate to be involved in something like that if you're Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And I'm sure you feel like you were partly to blame for it, but at the same time, the race goes on. You got to get your head right, as he said, and just move on.
Yeah, I think Ricky definitely knows he was partly to blame for everything happening here, and he had a lot of guys criticizing his activities and driving style in the Daytona 500 earlier this year, and I think this was going to get him talking again. Probably going to hear this week from some of the other drivers in this wreck.
We talked about it coming on the air, Junior, is that this race matters so much to so many that they're going to do things that they otherwise wouldn't do because there's a reward for doing it. There's also a risk. The risk is this. The reward is we've seen Ricky Stenhouse Jr. win races on plate tracks and move himself into the playoffs. And for that team, that's been really their savior. They have not run well the way you used to seeing a Roush team run. So when they come here, the pressure is high. Well, you have to perform and just roll the bounds a little bit.
Even with that happening, and that you got to shake that off. I mean, this race has just opened up for a lot of guys coming in here trying to steal a win.
Absolutely. Half the field was involved in that accident. 20 cars had some type of damage when this happened. 4th of July weekend, and there's the fireworks already.
Back here in Daytona after the big one that has just happened. Denny Hamlin, the first of the drivers caught up in that to be released from the Infield Care Center. I know you guys had a promising day ahead of you. What happened?
I'm not sure, but somebody probably wrecked somebody, and usually whoever starts it usually doesn't get wrecked, but I don't really know. The 2 was sideways in front, and yeah, 2 got wrecked, and so did everybody else. So. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, this is the Coke Zero Sugar 400. Usually is this type of race, but it usually happens much later in the night. Unfortunate for all the cars that got torn up. You know, it's now it's a total crapshoot with, you know, it looks like most of the contenders, you know, that battle for these races are taken out, but you never know. It could be pretty exciting at the end, but you know, unfortunate for our FedEx Cares Team Rubicon Camry that we're not going to be part of it.
Thank you, Denny. Dave?
Brad Keselowski walked from the Infield Care Center. You okay? And what did you feel hitting you in the back there?
Yeah, I'm okay. You know, Ricky was pushing. He didn't do anything wrong. It's just my fault. You know, we had a really fast Miller Lite Ford. And, you know, Dave, I'm just not wrecking enough people. I need to wreck more people so they'll stop throwing bad blocks. And that's what's happening to me on the plate track. So, you know, everybody that's watching, all them drivers out there, throw another bad block. I mean, I'm just going to drive through you and wreck you. So look out and tailgate.
All right, the words of Brad Keselowski. Kelly?
Yeah, the 41 and Kurt Busch, really just innocent bystanders there. How disappointing given the speed you were showing in the 41.
I got a giggle. I mean, I thought I was in a safe spot running in the top 3, and that's where the danger zone is. It's like 3 to 12. Everybody's dicey through there, and so it's the wrong place at the wrong time. The 17 and 2 looked like they got together. But I just got a giggle, like there's no safe spot. I mean, I thought we were going to get strung out and try to get to the handling portion of the run, and we just got clipped, wrong place, wrong time. It's a helpless feeling getting clipped in front of the field like that, but it tore the drive shaft out, so there's no way we can repair anything. So bummer night for the Monster Energy Ford, but we'll come back again next week.
All right, just the nature of this racing, Dave.
Joey Logano's here. What did you see or feel and try to get through with?
It felt like the longest crash ever. I feel like I was in the middle of the whole thing, and it just looks like there's some hard, aggressive pushing up front, and you know, cars trying to get to the lead, and once one car sits sideways in front of the whole field, you can't stop when you're going 200 very quick, and when there's no gap in between all the cars on a restart like that. And we just got torn up in it. So part of it, you know, it's Daytona, it's super speedway racing. Sometimes you get through it and you can win. Sometimes you crash, and it's just part of the game. And you got to have that mindset when it starts for some reason. But unfortunately, we were on the bad 50% of it this time. Hopefully, we're on a good 50% when we go back to Talladega in the playoffs and try to get another win over there.
Joey usually does this type of racing very well. He's out early tonight, guys.
Unfortunate. You heard one driver say, well, you got to laugh. And how about Brad Keselowski being very vocal as we ride along with Bubba Wallace and see what a driver's perspective is like.
Well, still on the yellow here at Daytona. What does that mean? Fantasy Live adjustments. We're still in the middle of stage 2. We just had the big accident. Now's the time. Go to your garage. See if any of your drivers were in that accident. Chances are there was someone in that accident. Make a change. Get someone else in your lineup. Try to save those fantasy points.
All right, here's Joey Meyer. Spotter for the 2. Fine line between managing and blocking. If anyone asks, one works, the other one doesn't. We just heard Brad Keselowski say, I'm going to wreck guys if they block me in a poor way. What does that even mean? How can you block somebody wrong?
Well, you know, they had such a huge run on William, you know, and he moves down in front, and the 2 has to lift so much that he basically gets spun around on the front of on the nose of the 17 car. I mean, it wasn't a very clean push from the 17. But you know, it's hard to say whether that was I've seen more aggressive blocks. I've seen blocks that are just really aggressive, and to me, I didn't initially think
is Brad blaming William Byron for that?
I think Brad thinks the block was aggressive.
That's right. Brad's saying William Byron, he turned down in front of me. I had to lift. He said it wasn't Stenhouse's fault. Right. Stenhouse got in the back of me, and we talked about it. William Byron leading as a rookie, he had to insert himself. That's what you have to do. You cannot go out here and just not block and let people go. Maybe the block was too aggressive. According to Brad, it was too aggressive. But it's why, you know, when I made a comment, I said, you know, Stenhouse was partially to blame because I've been in these wrecks before. And, you know, what sometimes looks like someone just intentionally wrecked someone isn't always like that.
See the cars involved in the wreck. We've already heard from quite a few of them that came out of the infield care center. Pace car, hard left turn, and the field now approaching the Geico restart zone. 18 laps to go in stage 2.
Ricky side drafted hard as he can, trying to hold that 24 there as long as he could, but didn't get the help before Kyle Busch was able to come up through there and push William clear.
Michael McDowell in the 34 making the high line, making it 3 wide, trying to move up to the front.
You have to think about the psyche of William Byron now, right? Has he gotten a message, hey, people thought you were blocking too hard, will he continue?
His psyche, and Ricky Stenhouse' psyche too.
Yes.
How does Ricky Stenhouse feel right now? Is he still dealing with that guilt over being involved or being part of that? And if he has any guilt.
Sometimes you have to act like you feel guilty and
might not have it.
Move on.
Man, he's side drafted hard. That's what you got to do. It looks aggressive, but man, it is so important. You got to side draft so close if you're on that inside line. Push that outside line up against the fence. Hold him right there until that help comes from Newman. He's moving up the track. He's running. Stenhouse is running the center of the corner, trying to get a little bit of side draft off the 18. We're working it all the time. Every opportunity you get.
And while they're doing that, William Byron, is he watching this, deciding, okay, which line do I jump in front of?
He's getting a lot of information from the spotter. You know, he's of course he's looking in the mirror. Really, I bet he's looking in the mirror 90% of the lap. You know, with peripheral vision, he's driving out the front, looking in the mirror and watching, seeing, listening to the spotter, and using the mirror visually to still understand what the spotter's saying, which lines are making runs. The spotter's probably telling him that the 20 car got a great run there to the 18 and is going to give the 18 a shove and things like that.
So watch right here down the back straightaway.
Stay bottom. That 18 has no help in that top there. Stay bottom.
Great information. See, that's the kind of information you need. Stay on the bottom. 18, they're not organized on the outside. They're getting organized. Get up there. Too late. 18's on his quarter panel. He's going to side draft him right here in 3 and 4. Oh, my goodness.
Sideways the 18, hard into the wall. Around goes the 24 as well. William Byron sliding all the way to the inside wall. Jamie McMurray caught up as well. Kyle Larson avoiding the 18. He went way down on the apron.
Guys, I'm afraid to say it, but I think Stenhouse was involved in this one as well.
I do too.
Can't wait to see the replay so we can really dissect how this all started. I did not see these guys having an accident right there.
Denny Hamlin, before this race started yesterday, he said he expected to see a wreck fest. Well, Denny Hamlin, you were right.
As Denny is probably sitting in his bus right now watching this race.
I mean, this is crazy. We're not halfway.
And the very charismatic winner from a week ago at Chicagoland Speedway, Kyle Busch, walking away from his destroyed 18. He hit the wall hard. He comes over to talk with William Byron.
Just checking on him. Take a look at the roof cam of the 17. So he gets into the quarter panel 18. 18's trying to get down there and side draft, and the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse is not following the 24, not following his line exactly. He's also trying to side draft. So Ricky's trying to side draft 18. 18's coming down to side draft to 24. Just a couple bad decisions there. Trying to, you got to be aggressive on the side draft, and that's what happens sometimes when there's 3 or 4 guys trying to do the same thing.
So what the 17's trying to do right there is he's trying to get as close to the left rear quarter panel of the 18 to slow him down, and he gets into him. He came up the racetrack so aggressively, I almost wonder if he got tight or something. Like,
maybe.
He can see that the 18 is right next to William Byron. The 18 can't go any lower. Watch what happens right here. So see how close the 18 and the 24 are. Right here. 18, he's not going to go any lower. The 17's up the racetrack and gets into the 18. Just makes me wonder if Ricky Stenhouse Jr. didn't lose the front of the car and get up the racetrack and get into the side of him, in trying to side draft and you're close to somebody, if your car gets tight and it moves 2 feet, now you're into the left rear quarter panel and causing a wreck.
We saw these guys have balance issues on the bottom groove. And he could have lost the front in the dirty air of the 24. He could have lost the nose a little bit there. I think he was going up there to get a little side draft and maybe did overestimate how much front grip he had.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gets through. Ryan Newman, Busher, Jimmy Johnson, and Eric Jones all getting through the mayhem. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Credit One Bank, the credit card perfect for everyday purchases. And by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of NASCAR. Let's listen in to Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s radio once again.
Steering is still all good? Yeah, 10-4. I think I really touched him. And obviously I did, but that's how light it was.
All right, so you heard him say how light it was. So he wasn't really sure if he hit him, but let's go on board and pay attention to the tape on the steering wheel. So see, he's turning the wheel to the left, gets close to the 18, turns it further to the left. As soon as he makes contact, then he's back to the right, just saving his car. But that leads him to believe that he got tight just before he got to the 18.
Yeah, you can see him add a little more input to it just as he's getting to the 18 car, losing the front grip, getting tight. We heard guys talking about balance all weekend. There's going to be an issue. We saw guys tonight having issues on the bottom groove, and he got up in there and overestimated the front grip when he went. He was in the worst position you could be in for front grip, being behind the 24 and in the door of the 18 there.
Let's go back to the Peacock pit box and Mike Tirico, Steve Letarte.
Mike, we talked earlier after 40 laps, and it was a calm race. This is anything but a calm race now.
And now what? Because now we've seen more than half the field wreck. Now you've got to wonder, one, who's in a position to finish this thing off, and we've got a long way to go. We're not even at halfway. And second, you're looking at the points, the overall season points, because a lot of guys can change the whole specter of the back half of this season with what happens the next hour or so.
Yeah, I mean, these speedway races are about attrition. They always are. But the difference is if you're still on the racetrack with damage, every yellow, you need to be coming on pit road continually to fix your race car, because those points, as you mentioned, they mount up very quickly. We still have a stage that's going to award more points here at the end of stage 2. And what really is shocking me is, other than Martin Truex Jr., I don't see another race winner from 2018 still really in the field. So you start thinking about maybe a new winner. That will shift the point specter even more.
A couple of the big three involved in this. So Stenhouse, obviously, he's been right in the middle of all of this as a crew chief. Anything you can say to him, message him to keep him going forward, not backward?
I think at this point, when he's in the race car, it's very simple. It is, hey, look ahead. We have to win this race. We're going to talk about the rest when it's over, but right now it's task at hand. So it's good. Mike, hey, thanks for joining us. Great view, great race. Love having you here.
It's been incredible. Can't wait to watch the rest.
Thanks.
Notice that you loosened the tie, but you still have the tie, Mike. That's a step in the right direction.
He's half committed.
He's half committed. Stenhouse Jr. and Ryan Newman, they're making up row 1 as field approaches the Geico restart zone once again. 11 laps to go in stage 2. Good run for Newman on the inside. Now some help on that outside line.
Steve just said it. There's going to be a lot of cars that you don't normally see up front. That 37 of Chris Buescher on the bottom there in 3rd or 4th. Got Joey Gase in that 00 yellow car.
Ryan Newman running side by side with Stenhouse Jr. down the backstretch now.
Both lines pretty organized, waiting on one of them to organize and start to get that shove going. It looks like the outside line's pretty tight. Like there with McDowell and Bowman. Bowman was in that accident earlier in the contact with the door of Larson's car, and it's like they repaired that damage, and he's still up there in the battle, but not sure how competitive his car is going to be the rest of the night.
Not surprised to see Michael McDowell up front. We saw him there at the beginning of the race, so he's up inside the top 3. But you've got Buescher, Bowman, Casey Kane, Joey Gase, and Brendan Gaughan all in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, but even behind them, you got Trevor Bayne, a Daytona 500 winner from several years ago. Kennington, you got Ty Dillon. We saw he had trouble earlier, but he's back in the game. So the door is open. We talked about it at the start of the race. Like, somebody's going to have a chance to take advantage. And I think the names that now have a chance have changed. We were talking about Denny Hamlin, who hadn't won a race yet. Now we're talking about somebody that maybe has never won a race in their career. Kelly.
Outside the infield care center with Kyle Busch, you made it through the first one. You got turned in the second one. What was your take on that wreck?
I don't know. Just, you know, disappointing to get crashed out by the same guy that caused the first crash. But you know, our interstate batteries Camry showed some good speed. We showed some good patience there in that first stage. We were able to come home second, at least grab some points there. But man, I don't know. You always come to Daytona waiting to crash and trying to figure out when and where, and just hope that you can walk away from it. So that's really frustrating and disappointing to have to race these races like that, just on the fence, on the line of when are you going to wreck, you know. But we go on. We go next week, I guess.
Thank you, Kyle. Dave.
Kelly, William Byron was the leader, and William, you drivers have pretty much taught us the lead is the safest place to be. What happened there?
Yeah, just the 17 car just kind of, I guess, hooked the 18 into me. Seemed like he was being really aggressive, and the second time we've kind of been on the wrong end of something with him. So unfortunate for us, but we had a good race going. We needed to really have a really good day of the points position we're in, but overall just part of speedway racing, I guess, but just hate to be on that side of it. But at least we led some laps, so that was good.
Rick, he was doing everything he was supposed to do.
Yeah, interesting comment out of Kyle Busch. He said you just want to be able to walk away. Well, he was involved in an accident where he couldn't walk away. He broke his leg and ankle in an Xfinity Series race here. That same year, he went on to win the championship.
See, this bottom line's disappeared pretty much as everybody's sort of committed to the top, closing in on the finish of the stage. This is right around the time where it got busy last time. with this many cars out of the race, I'm not sure exactly what kind of battle we're going to have developed for all these stage points. Will these guys that are getting, you know, these stage points for the first time in a rare moment during the season be settling for their position? Be interesting to see if any of them pull out.
Does it open the door for a driver like we saw just now, Jimmy Johnson? It's amazing that you have to say that, but there's a lot of experience there as far as winning at this racetrack.
Well, let's take a look at Jimmy Johnson. This is something I saw in this replay from the first wreck. That's how good this guy is. So let's watch him as he tries to navigate getting through this. Going down on the flat, going a little too fast. Turns sideways, straightens it out in the bank. Here he goes on around the corner. He ain't done dirt tracking yet. Gonna get a little more because he's Jimmy Johnson. That's the kind of driver he is. What an amazing save by him. 2 saves, really. And he's still in this race. And if he wins tonight, and look back at this as a pretty incredible moment. Dodging them both.
We've been seeing that for years out of Jimmy Johnson. Normally it's car control to go to victory lane and win championships. But even on a down year, I think that just proves, Dale, how Jimmy Johnson, he's engaged. He is not happy about the performance this year, but he's trying to spin it to a positive light, lead this race team. And you have to look at him, as you mentioned, Rick, surprising to look at Daytona being a great opportunity or maybe his only opportunity, but he has to start thinking that as the field dwindles.
5 to go. In stage 2, Stenhouse Jr. still out front. McDowell running second.
All these guys right here, you talk about Jimmy Johnson getting confident because the field's thinned out. All these guys right here got a smile on their face. I might win this race tonight. So Jimmy, along with everybody in this little pack, they look at this as a, hey, the competition's down. I can take all these guys. So should be pretty interesting to see who pulls us out. I got to say that Jimmy's got to be one of the favorites with the speed they've had this weekend, but still anybody's race. Stenhouse still up there in the lead.
What's going to be so difficult, though, Junior, the way that you're going to have to race now, it's completely changed. Like, you were learning what your car would do and what it couldn't do when there were 40 cars on the racetrack. Well, there's, 12 cars in this lead pack? So you're not going to get the runs the way you were getting them before. They're not going to stall lanes out the way they stalled them out before. It's going to take a completely different approach to get a stage win or get the win for this race. See Jimmy Johnson make a hard turn to the left.
Hey, Jeff, we keep talking about Jimmy Johnson. How about his teammate? Dale, your old car, the 88, running third. This has to be the biggest opportunity for Alex Bowman. I know he has a little damage, but I don't think that's going to hurt this car's speed a lot. He's easily running in the 3rd position. This is it. This is green light for that young man to get his first win.
Absolutely. The field's thinned out. It's a great opportunity for him to have an amazing finish or opportunity to win even. And he had a great car here in February and actually ran really well with the car until he was taken out in a late wreck. Didn't get a lot of help in the draft because nobody really knew what kind of plate racer he was and whether to, you got to trust these guys. If you don't know what a guy's going to do or if he's going to make the right move or not, you're not going to try to help him that much. And maybe he's gained a little bit of respect of his peers over the last 6 months. We got a little bit of low line development as we're coming down to the end of this stage.
Yeah, Trevor Bayne. Think about Trevor Bayne. He's got a shot. Remember, he got kicked out of his seat. He won the Daytona 500 on top of the world, and a few years later, he gets kicked out. Says, man, you're not getting it done. We need to try something different. Now he has a shot to put himself in position to win this race. And on the outside of him, one of your other teammates, Casey Kane, another guy that's trying to reprove and rebrand himself. He was at Hendrick Motorsports. It didn't work out. He got moved along, and now he's got a shot.
Want to listen in to the 34 radio of Michael McDowell.
495's got damage too, so I think if Ricky and I stay in line here, we'll be fine.
You know how it is, though. If they jump down and they get to you, he's going to jump down. So stay with him right now.
Steve Barkdahl, the spotter there for Michael McDowell. Heard him say, you know how he is. He'll jump down there and block if they go down. So he wants to figure out, do you stay with the 17 or do you try to make a pass?
He's going to stay right there where he's at. He's going to try to get in this race, have a shot to win.
Final lap of stage 2, and now they're trying to go 2 wide. Ty Dillon in the 13 thinks otherwise. He gets back in line. Trevor Bayne still trying something in the 6.
Let's go, guys. Let's move around, make something happen.
Will anyone try to get by Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as they work their way through 3 and 4, coming to the green-white checkered flag? to end stage 2, and it looks as though it's going to be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. sweeping the first 2 stages. Before tonight, Roush Fenway has never won a stage, and now already 2.
And you saw the difference between the end of the first stage and the end of the second stage, how much more aggressive that first stage end was. And Junior, that's just less cars. There's less opportunity. It's just so much harder with this few cars on the racetrack.
I think Ricky, to save some face, he's going to have to win these 2 stages and the race.
Well, we mentioned at the top of the show, aggressive, crazy. That pretty much sums up Ricky Stenhouse Jr. right now. He has been aggressive and crazy out there on the racetrack.
Pit stops just finishing up at Daytona International Speedway. Second place in that stage, Michael McDowell, his best stage finish of the year. No adjustments to the car, 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. For Ricky Stenhouse Jr., they take a long time on pit road to massage that right front fender and try to make it perfect for the remainder of the race. Kelly?
We also saw the 88 there of Alex Bowman. He's on the splitter a little bit, taking off. They didn't want to waste any time on pit road fixing damage. 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel for Alex.
A very long pit stop for the 17.
Rick, I'm shocked. I love what the 17 right here is doing. There are only 10, 12, 15 cars that are in this race. We just saw the Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 17 basically dominate that stage finish. No one could pull out, yet Brian Patty is taking the time to make his car better. I'm a little shocked. I thought these other crew chiefs, there's 80 laps to go. This race is only half over. Stop, massage their cars. Obviously, none of them had the speed to make a run on the 17. Junior, don't you think if you were in there, you'd be yelling at me, hey, let's take the time now. This car could be better.
Yeah, I'd probably want to do all the, work on the car I could early and not have to worry about it later in the race. But, that's a tough decision to make.
Let's talk to the 17.
Hey, Ricky, it's Burton. You got time to talk?
Yeah, I got you, Jeff.
Well, man, it's been crazy out there. Tell us what's going on.
It's been crazy, partly due to a few of my issues. So That first one, I just thought us and the 2 were going to have a run on the 24 to the inside, and then 2 had to check up really late into 3 there. Then the other one, I just tried to side draft the 18 at the wrong place and got sucked into him and turned him around. So it's crazy here. It's, you know, trying to get into the playoffs, you know, gaining points, trying to put ourselves in positions for wins. So we got a really fast 5th, 3rd, 4th, and hey, we tore up all our other Ford teammates. That was didn't go as planned. So we're gonna have to do it with the teammates that we got left out here.
Well, bud, we appreciate you taking some time. Good luck the rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Almost a somber driver interview there, even though he won the first 2 stages. Gladiator, freight train, wrecking ball. He's been everything tonight on the racetrack, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., but he has won 2 stages, and he's got the possibility, as he mentioned, to make it into the playoffs. He's one of the best cars, if not maybe the best car that's still out on the racetrack right now. Right.
Rick, things are heating up online as well. Social media, Zach the World, I know, said, I don't know how many friends we're going to have, was just said on Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s radio. That's an easy question to answer. Plus, the Wood brothers throwing shade. Stenhouse going to win this race tonight one way or another. Things aren't just hot on the track out here, Rick. Social media too, buddy.
Everyone letting them know. Everybody on social media has an opinion. They'll give it.
Well, Wood brothers racing social media is pretty awesome. They have some funny stuff on there all the time. Great follow.
They are great.
How about the 21, Paul Menard? We saw that car get up and all 4 off the ground, all 4 wheels off the ground. As the 88 of Alex Bowman comes back onto pit road. It looks like they'll do a little massaging, maybe a little more fuel before he goes back out.
Who's going to take advantage? It's out there. The opportunity to make your year is right now. We've seen those big teams and drivers get knocked out Who's going to step up? I mean, now is your chance.
It's a weird balance of cars up there. There's a weird balance of cars up there. There's guys that are willing to take that chance, and there's guys that are just trying to survive the night. So it's hard to tell who's going to be the most aggressive. Here's the playoff standings right now.
But look at the
just
points.
barely in.
Yeah, the points definitely are going to shake up a little bit. Stenhouse Jr., he's outside the top 16.
Yeah, but he's coming.
Oh, he's going to be coming. We know that.
Up.
And this has, this showing Ty Dillon as leader. So it shows him in as winning a race because he's leading the race. So, you go back here and look at Eric Jones and Stenhouse and Elliott, Bowman. I mean, it's all tight.
Dave.
Rick, how about Truex? The first big one he missed because he had an uncontrolled tire penalty and was in the back and was guided through it. The second time, they had decided to lay back and missed the second big one. They've just been discussing it about this run, and here's the radio.
A little worried about this whole thing going green, And there's so few cars, I don't know. That's why I say, if it gets single file, everybody's going to stay there and ride. It's going to go green. You don't want to lose the lead pack. We're going to have a chance. Yeah, 10 point. I think we stick up in there for a bit. Hopefully it strengthens out.
So laid back twice and made it, staying up in it for now.
Never won. He's never won at a restrictor plate track.
He hasn't, but you can take more risks now. There's less cars. There's less risk of losing so many spots, so you can be more aggressive now to pull out, even if you're by yourself.
Ty Dillon and Clint Boyer making up row 1 now as they come back into the tri-oval. Stage 3 underway. And right away, we saw the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. jump out of line.
And it's hard to believe that Clint Boyer in that 14 car on the bottom with that nose damage, it's hard to believe that's who you're going to want to lead a line. You would think that he's going to be better following somebody.
Come on up through there pretty good.
Yeah, he did.
Got a great run down the back straightaway. He's got pretty decent help behind him. Good, tight, clean help. Parker.
Guys, just under this caution, Clint Boyer came across radio and said, I cannot lead, I have to follow. We have too much damage, we're way too slow. And then they took the track position. It looks pretty good to me with all that damage.
Well, we'll see if he can stay there. The key is who's behind him. If your cars behind you aren't real fast, then you can stay up there. But if once those quality of cars, if you get really quick cars behind you, it becomes much more difficult.
He's got Casey Kane in the 95 behind him right now. And then Michael McDowell, who we've continued to say over and over, is maybe outperforming what everyone thought he was going to be able to do in the 34. Currently running third again. We've seen him in the top 3 a lot already tonight.
He was in top 5 finish here in this race last year. And he's got 2 top 5s in a row this track. So
we heard on the radio, the 78 of Martin Truex Jr., they said, well, maybe, just kind of feel it out, see how it goes, and then drop to the back if you have to. Well, there's no drop into the back right now. He's trying to get into the top 5.
For once, that outside line's not working as well, and he started in that inside line, and he's just taking advantage of it as it's moving forward.
Hey guys, and shame on me. I mentioned that I thought the 78 was the only winner from this year that had a car that could win the race. And here Clint Boyer's proving me wrong, leading with all that damage.
I see one guy that might save the night, and that's in the 6 car, Trevor Bayne. He's making some moves. He ain't going to sit here and ride.
And McDowell.
McDowell moves to the outside of Casey Kane, tries to get that outside line working, and Clint Boyer moves up to block. Down to the bottom of the racetrack goes McDowell, trying to take the lead away.
He's got help. Yeah, he's got great help from Trevor Bayne. Trevor is going to move around. He's going to try to make something happen. He started all that back in turn 1, or entering turn 1. All that began. That whole run was organized there.
Michael McDowell leading at Daytona.
Remember, Michael McDowell, that car he's driving, Roush Fenway built that car, prepared it. It's got a Roush car behind him. Big block by Trevor Bayne. Now he's trying to get the 95 from going underneath him. Could not do it. Casey Kane with a big run.
And he blocks the 95. So Michael McDowell stays in front of the momentum. Up to third now, Martin Truex Jr.
This is the time that
More cars on the bottom running with you. You in the 95, 78.
How about Harvick? Where did he come from? He was
on the bottom, the 17's in 4 now, so we know how strong he is. He's going to watch that 95 now. Keep the bottom right now. Nothing on the outside. 78's trying to push that 95. Check that inside. No run right now. 5 of you guys are separated in the field right now. 95 half back. No run, 78's coming to him. Still half back on you. 95's going back to the 78. Still in line, That's it. Don't be afraid to creep just a tick off that bottom. Getting in the corner. Still in line, gonna try to, there you go, protect the bottom. About the first 12 are in line, but they all got pretty tight back there, so we just gotta be careful here. Keep protecting that 95 behind you.
The voice you're hearing is Steve Barkdahl, the spotter.
Move you up in front of him. Let him push us for a while. Still 95, 1 back. He's 1 ahead of the 77 or 17. Bottom still got the run. 95 still with you.
Is that outside line?
That's it. 17 stalled out over the 78.
Let's listen to him give that information on that outside line.
Outside just a little bit. Now back down. 17's getting a little run. Get ready to move up. Get that run from him. Get that push from him. Then you can go back down once you feel it.
I got to get the chance to go down.
17 in line with you. 95 on the bottom. Everybody's 2 by 2. We know that 17 is super strong here. With you now, you're clear. Bottom does not have a run. Just you and that 17. He's probably going to dive on here. Just watch him. In line right now. First 4 in line. 95 falling back on the bottom. That's it. First 5 are single here.
That's great information from the spotter. So the spotter saw that outside line foreman. He let his driver know when to move up, when it was okay to move up and not throw a crazy block. It was a good early move, so that outside line could prepare for it. Just really smart information. Interesting to see if Stenhouse is going to be as loyal to McDowell as McDowell was to him earlier in the race.
Well, I think that's what makes it very difficult, is that we know Stenhouse Jr. wants to lead. We've seen how aggressive he is, so running this top opens the door to just turn left and have Kevin Harvick, who I don't know where he came from. I thought he was done, to have him go with you and make a run. Marty, you got something on Kevin?
Absolutely, Jeff. They got the free pass on the last caution. The damage not that bad. And he said something interesting to Rodney Childers. He said with less cars in the race, handling is going to be less of an issue. Think speed. So, Steve, you were begging for a crew chief to come down pit road and adjust on their car. Rodney Childers did that. Kevin Harvick said, I still think we have the speed to win this race.
Yeah, Marty, I love that call. I mean, those are the types of decisions that prove why the 4 and Rodney Childers and Kevin Harvick, that combination wins so many races. They are just continuing to work on their race car. Remember, there's still 65 laps to go. There's at least another pit stop that may or may not come under green flag conditions. We see how quickly both the 4 and the 17 recovered. I think these crew chiefs have to change their mindset. It is not a 40-car field. It's a much smaller field with still a lot of racing left.
Junior, you and I looked at each other when we saw the 4 car. We're like, where did he come from? Well, this is why we were wondering. This was the first wreck as we ride along with Kevin Harvick. Look at this damage. I mean, he hits the wall hard, gets run into, off the banking, damages the splitter. Listen to the car. I mean, it's damaged, and here he is running third with a chance to win the race.
Hey, Junior, as I look at this front pack, is there an advantage to those 2 Hendrick cars having a teammate? Does a teammate become more important in a smaller group?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, those guys are talking all week leading up to this race about how they can work together and how they can be stronger helping each other. So, you know, if you're wanting to make a move, you got a teammate that's going to be able to be loyal to go with you.
Stage 1 winner, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Stage 2 winner, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. The final stage, can he win the Monster Energy Cup Series race from Daytona? Only 60 laps remaining in the Monster Energy Cup Series Coke Zero Sugar 400. There's a pretty good lineup right there. An impressive racing out on the track. Michael McDowell in front of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kevin Harvick, Alex Bowman, Jimmy Johnson in the top 5, all in line. When will someone blink? When will someone make the move and decide it's time for us to get out of line and challenge for the lead, but also get out of line to come to pit road?
We've seen Trevor Bayne try to make a move a few laps ago, and now look, he's all the way at the back of that line, Jeff. So that's the risk. I mean, if you pull out of there and try to make a run, go into the back, as we see Eric Almirola fall into the tail end of this line.
Well, one person that's not going to be making the charge, look back here, way in the back. Martin Truex Jr. in the 78 car, he has made the decision. He doesn't want any part of this. He wants to stay away from it. He thinks they're going to wreck again. He just is afraid they're going to wreck again. He's going to try to stay out of trouble. The danger in this is, what if he has a problem? Here he is. He's just backing up. He says, I'm out. I mean, he is way off, but he has gotten far enough back where I'd be terrified I was going to lose the draft. And if you lose the draft and have a little bit of a slow pit stop, then you could, next thing you know, you could be a lap down. So this line is all single file. I'm afraid they're just going to drive away from him. He's giving them too much room.
Well, Jeff, we're going to take a look at the Toyota driver update. Truex 19th, DJ Kennedy, JJ Ellie, Eric Jones. The concern I have for Martin Truex, while 19th sounds pretty good, you just showed how far behind the pack he is. Well, he is now basically out of the draft. I mean, he is running slower than the single file cars around the racetrack. So if he continues to lose time, will he actually lose a lap? I mean, it seems like maybe he's just barely in tow, but one little bobble, and he's going to be in big trouble.
I know you feel that way, but he's running some really fast laps. He's actually running down this lead pack, and he's running low in the corner. You see him back there running low in the corner, running a shorter distance.
So you think he's fine? You think he's still getting that draft?
Looking at the board here, he ran a 46.19 to the leader's 42 or 46.7. So he's got the draft, and he's cutting distance running that bottom groove in the corner. Very smart.
That time by, it was 46 flat for him. Fastest lap of anybody.
Well, and he can modulate that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they were telling him that he was catching. I couldn't tell if they were sarcastic or not because they've had such bad luck here, but there you go. He is up to that back of the pack again.
If he had lost that draft completely, he would have easily went a lap down. That would have been a terrible, terrible situation for that team, but drives right back up in there. He's got the speed.
Hey, you know, we didn't have to put a graphic in to prove Junior was right.
Hey, I talked to Truex today and asked him about his car, and he said, hey, man, I don't think we got enough speed. Well, he just basically run the pack down by himself.
So now the decision is, with pit stops potentially coming, Steve, not sure how long it is before they're going to pit, but, you know, when you start to see pit stops coming, you want to work yourself up the pack a little bit. You don't want to be in the back in case you have a bad pit stop. So now Truex is starting to try to work himself forward to give himself a little bit of cushion if they have a slow stop.
He's like, hey, man, my car's pretty fast by itself. Let's see what it'll do against the rest of these guys.
Marty.
Hey, Rick, Jeff just mentioned it a moment ago, we are quickly approaching what could be green flag stops and maybe the last stops of the day. Now, earlier today, all the 4 teams got together, all 13 teams, and they made a plan on what lap they were going to stop in this stage. They were going to all stop together, but not communicated on the radio because they didn't want people to jump onto their strategy. So, Steve, it's a different ball game now because there's so few cars in this race. How does that strategy now change? Because the Fords can't really have an advantage by pitting together.
No, I think you just have to understand now it's all about getting clean on and off pit road. I'm not sure there's any strategy to try to trick someone, but with 55 laps to go, I expect these guys to still run 5 or 6 more laps to get in their fuel window, and then it's just on and off clean.
So we see Truex on the inside line. What he needs is everybody to get in that line with him, and he's moving forward. Look at the runs he's getting. Wow. He is driving to the front by himself. Look at Jimmy Johnson jump down in there and try to get in front of that. He wants some of that action.
And now, Martin Truex Jr., after being almost 4 seconds behind the pack, is right in the mix up front at Daytona. You saw it, we heard it here at Daytona. The 48 of Jimmy Johnson has moved all the way to the front of the field, and the roar of the crowd here was almost as if Ed Earnhardt had taken the lead at Daytona.
Has his trials and tribulations made him a fan favorite? Are fans cheering for Jimmy Johnson to reach his former glory? Get back to victory lane?
He's led 2 laps all season. Jimmy Johnson, 7-time champion.
We could see it.
2 laps.
We could see the fans going nuts when he took the lead. They loved it.
And now Jimmy Johnson's going to have to fight off that 17 once again. He is up front and challenging. And what a run for the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. On his own, he moved himself up into the top 5, and now he's fighting to get up in the lead. Dave.
Rick, a few trophies for Jimmy Johnson here at Daytona, but the usual procedure was to stay in the garage for most of practice so that he didn't get in any practice wrecks with that race car. Well, the other day, he ran as many practice laps as many of the other cars and got a feel for what his car needed, then went out and qualified 3rd. Jimmy's had a great car all weekend and has a chance to head back to victory lane at Daytona.
Let's take a look and see how Jimmy Johnson gets the lead. He gets a great push from Martin Truex Jr. down the back straightaway. I don't know if he thought he was going to make a move here, but he does. He goes to the quarter panel of the 17 to get that side draft. Martin can't get up there to help him. I bet Martin wanted to go with him, but he couldn't fit in that hole. So Jimmy's got Michael McDowell now to try to get him pushed through there. And they worked a few corners, made it happen.
48 out front at Daytona. He's won here on this racetrack 3 times. But it's been a long time since we have seen Jimmy Johnson in victory lane. This is the longest he has gone without a win in his career.
I thought that Chase Elliott and my buddy in the 21 car were going to be battling for the most popular driver award this year, but we may have another guy in that battle with Jimmy Johnson.
Could Jimmy Johnson be
win the most popular driver award?
The popular driver in NASCAR?
Man, his stands went crazy.
How about Michael McDowell saying, I'm going to take it to 7 times. Turns left, when they clear him. Big push from Stenhouse.
Strong for the 34 of McDowell, and now he's blocking.
Man, they racing finally.
Martin Truex drug that whole inside line. He just started coming when everybody saw him coming. They all started filling the inside line up, and now we have a race.
Jimmy trying another move.
Jimmy Johnson dives to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to take the lead back away. Side drafts the 34, and Jimmy Johnson back out front.
For him to be able to rebound that quickly from losing the lead and to take it over again really shows me the strength of that car. That's building that confidence inside Jimmy Johnson.
All right, crew chief Steve Letarte, at what time are we starting to think that we'll see them come to pit road?
Rick, I really think about 40 to go is when I think they could probably come to pit road for tires. They can make it now on fuel, but as we continue to mention, with a smaller field, there's no reason to risk it and pit so early, but I really think in about 6 more laps, the pit window will open. Did you see the 17 with a big wiggle right there?
Yeah, big wiggle out of Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Crew Chief Rodney Childers said handling might not be as much of an issue. It looks like that you can still get out of shape. Certainly gaining grip as we get later on into the night and the temperatures cool down, the track temp cools down, but still a handful for some of them drivers.
Well, there's enough cars now in a competitive battle where handling's going to matter. I mean, you look at how many are too wide. So I think handling is going to matter. We saw Stenhouse Jr. on the trial. Well, the thing wiggled big time. So, yeah, it's not done. We get a long run on 4 tires. It could really play in later in this race.
Yeah, on the long runs, I like to be in that outside line. We saw earlier that bottom having trouble with handling late in the run on tires. So that you're going to try to get up in that outside line late. You trap them guys on the bottom on that right, you get on that right quarter panel, easy pickings.
Jimmy Johnson very aggressive, trying to get underneath McDowell. McDowell trying to block.
Contact, man.
A little bit of contact. McDowell got up the track, and it's one of those restricted plate moves you just have to make, you know. If you don't block, they're going to fly by you. If you lift, they're going to run into the back of you.
I'm really surprised by the speed of McDowell's car. He's consistently stayed up front tonight. Been able to lead. Won't be surprised if he gets a good shove and gets back up there to battle for the lead again. Jimmy Johnson trying to take HMS to his 250th win for that organization.
It's been a big week for Jimmy Johnson. and his youngest daughter, Lydia, because Mom and Genevieve were out of the country. So it was Dad and Lydia that were hanging out together in New York. They went to many of the great sites and enjoyed a little dad and daughter time.
Looks like this pack is breaking up. Really surprised by how that bottom's top. You guys come to pit road.
Diving on pit road.
Here Almirola. But the pack just sort of dissipated right there. Now we got a single file line there. I think guys are thinking about pitting here soon. Trying to get to the bottom. Everybody's trying to organize themselves to the bottom of the racetrack to be able to get to pit road safely.
Junior, you just mentioned the speed in that 34 car. Let's not forget, earlier in this race, they were on pit road tightening a tie rod, adjusting the toe. This is a car that has not had the smoothest race.
Now you have different manufacturers, nose to tail here. Fords, Chevrolets, will they come at the same time? And Martin Truex Jr., which group does he jump in with?
Nobody comes that time.
I saw them all jump to the bottom of the racetrack in turn 3, and I thought, here they come, but they keep on moving. So much. Almirola hit pit road a little while ago. He's wanting these cars to pit as soon as they can. There he is right there.
So much pressure now on the pit crews, because if you have to come to pit road, green flag, you cannot make a mistake. You cannot lose this group that you come to pit road with.
I gotta believe they're coming.
Well, Jeff, I have the advantage being down here on pit road. 2 pit stalls to my right is the 4 pit stall of this guy right here, the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Well, they're warming up, right? You see the tire changes, moving their arms around, Jackman stretching out. That tells me, even with nothing over the radio, they can only be a couple laps away from coming to pit road.
They've all positioned themselves. They're protecting the bottom of the racetrack. That's why the lines move to the bottom. They're staying on that yellow line so they can't get shoved out and get on the outside and then not be able to hit pit road when they want to.
They'll get that information many laps before that they're going to pit. You know, you saw, here they come. They're talking about it now. The drivers will get that information with about 5 laps. Hey, we're going to pit in about 5 laps. Find a way to the bottom. So that's why we saw them all try to figure out how to get to the bottom groove to get to pit road.
And it's hard getting on pit road here. We see a lot of wrecks getting on pit road. Let's see if everybody can get on pit road clean.
We heard pitting this time correct. The Fords move out. Chevrolets go down. It looks like Martin Truex Jr. is going to join the Chevrolet brigade as they come to pit road. Dave.
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson comes in. They've had an adventure tonight as well. Earlier they had amperage that was low. They've changed the battery twice in addition to tires and fuel. Sunoco fuel and 2 tires for Jimmy Johnson. The 78 of Martin Truex Jr. as well on pit road. That's a 2-tire stop. Kelly.
88 of Alex Bowman also in. They told him not to slide the tires. That's because it's a 2-tire stop for the 88.
Kelly see Casey Kane on pit road. They told him to wait until they got it full of Sunoco fuel. It was just right side tires for Casey Kane. All those other cars that stayed out, Rick, they'll come this lap, including Kevin Harvick.
And as quickly as you say that, Fords continue to fly by in front of us.
And they slowed down. So think about this. They were running 45, 50s, 60s. Now the pack is dissipated, and they went a 46-22. So let's see how they blend. When they pit, let's see how they line up in the pack. They now have slowed down because the pack's gotten smaller.
Yeah, so you're assuming that they're losing time. So when they come out, they're going to have a harder time maybe maintaining the draft of that lead pack. That's why I always like the short pit here so that I didn't put myself in this situation.
The only advantage in this is now you have fewer cars. So it's a little easier to get on pit road. You seem like you can carry a little more speed to pit road, and there's a little bit less risk.
I understand that strategy about getting on and off pit road, but they are losing quite a bit of time on the racetrack. I think if that other group can get organized, this is going to be a track position swap, and these 4 that have stayed on the racetrack are going to give up. They're not going to lose the lead draft, but I don't believe there's any way they could end up being the front 4 cars when this cycles through.
We're at a 45-50 that lap. So you're thinking they're just losing a little bit of track position, but they'll be able to maintain that lead pack draft, Steve?
Well, but the other group has to get organized. You know, it's hard to tell our timing and scoring as you go through a cycle, but you would imagine that bigger pack of cars should run more efficient laps as long as they can stay in line. The advantage this team has right here, they have the 17, probably one of the fastest cars in Daytona, leading their 4-car pack, but it looks like right here we're going to see them all come to pit road on this lap.
Look at it's only 4 cars though. They're all able to carry more speed to the speed line, to the speed point.
And to give themselves the most advantage, Jeff, these will be 2 tire stops as well, so they don't spend more time on pit road than they need to. Don't slide them. That was the rule there. Worked for Michael McDowell. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on pit road as well. He did not slide his tires. They were able to change too. He's gone.
A great stop, but they've got to come out together. That's the other thing.
And Rick, at the last stage break, Kevin Harvick took 4 tires. They told him to wait on Rodney Childers to tell him to go and don't slide the tires like everybody else. So just right side tires for Kevin Harvick. We'll see where these 4 Fords will shake out with the rest of the field. They're bearing down on them quick, Rick.
48, 78, 20. Jimmy Johnson, Martin Truex Jr., Eric Jones leading that other pack.
And Rick, what's really going to hurt is the leaders are coming single file, which I think means they're going to go by them even quicker, isn't it, Dale?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for these guys to hang on to this draft. They're going by pretty fast, and it's also creating a lot of turbulence for this draft of cars. And you can see,
a lot of sparks flying. The 42 goes around, collects the 17. Larson around and got Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as he was going.
Rolling here if you can. Blew the tire. Yeah, tip 4.
The 48 also, we mentioned you can't make a mistake. The 48 was going to have to come to pit road because they pitted outside the box. Steve, is that a big break for them that the caution comes out?
Man, sometimes you just have to be lucky. This is a big, big save for the 48. As you mentioned, that penalty was going to hurt them. Now he'll be able to serve that penalty under yellow, which will be a little bit better. It's still going to cost him a lap. But doing it under green, they hold you, you lose a lap. You normally lose a lap and the draft.
NASCAR, you got to look at that angle. That is not correct. It's not correct.
We hear Chad arguing. We'll see. I've tried that a lot, though. Never seems to work in my favor. So we'll see if NASCAR sees something different. But the camera system picked up on the 48. So they're going to lose a lap, but they'll be able to line up with the group. But let's see here. Let's take a look at this penalty on the 48. So basically right here, the 48's right against the front line. The 48, oh, that's the issue. So you cannot service the car. Service is anything. Tighten lug nuts or put fuel in the car. The nose of the 48 crosses the front pit line with the fuel can still plugged in, black and white. That is without a doubt servicing the car out of the box.
And then the crash. On the backstretch, Kyle Larson.
I saw sparks right there.
He's got
See,
a flat tire.
Yeah, he had a problem. It just spun all by himself. I saw sparks flying from the car.
Yeah,
I didn't think
tire.
Yeah,
the right rear tire come apart.
I didn't think Ryan Newman made contact. It's just he has a problem right rear tire, and around he goes. Stenhouse, nothing he could do.
Decisions, though, guys. Decisions. Remember the 17. Would he have been at the back of that pack? Would he have even been in that position if they would have pitted earlier with the other leaders?
So this, the 6th caution to slow the pace here at Daytona as we go NASCAR nonstop. action like we're seeing tonight is exactly what you need when you want to come to the racetrack. So make sure to get tickets. Go to NASCAR.com/tickets to watch some of this action in person. Maybe you can be the one standing up cheering on Jimmy Johnson as he goes to the front of the pack. Now, Jeff, let's take a look at the Toyota Camry on-track car, and there's something different about it than virtually every other car on the track. What is it?
Yeah, well, most weeks we look at the Toyota on-track car and we explain something that's really cool about the race car. Today, it's quite simple. It's not wrecked. It's got all the parts and pieces.
Yes.
Everything's straight. Paint looks good. It might be the only car on the racetrack or in the facility that does not have damage.
It has been a crazy night on the racetrack, and that car looks good.
You need to get a few rounds out of the front of it.
That thing's high. It's prepared for some incidents.
So Martin Truex Jr. is scored up front at Daytona. And again, he's never won at a restrictor plate track. Take a look at the 4 of Kevin Harvick, who's behind this.
Right in front of you, watch him. I don't know where he's going to go. 2 of them there, easy. Now don't slide, just watch.
There you go.
Watch your backside, hold your line.
The whole tailpiece of the 42 car on the nose. Down pit road to get that taken off.
Marty.
Hey, Rick, you know, it's amazing what you can catch on the front nose of a race car, isn't it? This entire rear bumper cover, as you guys just saw from Kyle Larson's car. All the work that's gone into this, Steve, and here it is sitting for these guys. It was on the 4 car of Kevin Harvick, as we just saw. This is a pretty big piece, and I think I'm going to give this to Mike for a souvenir for his first trip to Daytona for the Coke Zero 400. What do you think there?
Yeah, bring it on down.
Coming to you, Tarico.
I mean, that's an interesting way to collect a souvenir is have another race car bring it in.
It'll go in the overhead on the way back. All right, the Jimmy Johnson deal you were talking about, what does he need the rest of the way here?
So basically, because they pitted outside the box, it's a 1-lap penalty. The caution saved him, or he would have lost a lap and the draft. Now he'll be in the draft, but a lap down. He needs a yellow. I think he can easily compete to be the first car 1 lap down, which puts him in position for the wave around or the free pass, but he has to have a yellow. He'll never make it up under green.
And we talked about Truex and what he did. It's a decision to get out of the mix, then come to the front with a strong car. Is he the strongest car of the guys near the front?
We've talked all weekend how this was not going to be the weekend of the big 3, and here he is. Martin Truex Jr., great decision to not be in the pack, but with that accident collecting the 17, I think the 78 has to be the favorite at this point.
As he goes for a 4th win here this season. Wild race, wild finish coming up. Love it.
Oh, yeah. 33 to go. There's no telling what could happen.
Want to listen to the 48 radio.
They're making a new bull rule on us, Jimmy. Fine. We'll come down and we'll serve our lap. What is this new rule? So, I don't even know. They just make it up as they go.
And that was Chad Knaus talking with driver Jimmy Johnson as Pate Carp making it to the pit road once again. Martin Truex Jr. and the 95 of Casey Kane up front. A little help from Austin Dillon in the 3 behind Martin Truex Jr.
You talked about last week how restarts are an art. So Austin Dillon timing that just right to be able to help Martin Truex Jr. get clear there. Get the wave out the window for Truex. And then Truex will wait on the throttle, and Austin Dillon will gas it up, and then Truex will gas it up as soon as he feels that contact. They're lining up on that outside. They're getting tight.
Little wiggle there out of the 95 of Casey Kane. Very tight up against the wall.
Business is picking up, man. We're 3 wide, several rows deep.
Under 32 laps to go.
Joey Gates driving it up in there.
Nice pusher right in front of him.
DJ Kennington right now is running 2nd at Daytona. Falls back to 3rd. Austin Dillon moves in front of him, but how about that name?
You saw those cars go below the yellow line. That's okay. You can go below the yellow line if you're not advancing your position, so there'll be no penalty for that.
They're bottled up on the bottom and a lot of moving around. A lot of damage to the 3 of Austin Dillon. He's having a little hard time being the lead car, and so you see him dropping like a rock, and it's strung out this inside line, and these guys have broke away.
Pack starting to separate itself. 6 cars trying to leave the rest of the group. And you look at the career wins for the top 10 right now. Truex Jr., Casey Kane, and Newman with double digits. But everybody else, 1 or 2 wins and quite a few with none. Could they get their first career win here? Just imagine what Bubba Wallace would be like. He finished second and was so emotional because he wanted to make his parents proud. And he said, boy, that was the greatest feeling, finishing second in the Daytona 500. What if he wins at Daytona tonight?
Well, here we are riding along with him. Got the Coca-Cola helmet cam. Great shot. You can hear he's just wide open in the throttle, not having to lift at all.
Not getting any real major runs on the car in front of him. The track's actually been repaved just recently, but it's starting to get some bumps in the corner. You can see those bumps in the helmet cam as he's dealing with that going through the corner, and have to make sure that those bumps don't upset the balance of the car. Going single file like this, you're not going to have really any issues with handling. This is a good scenario to be in. You're not going to feel a lot of balance issues. You can hear the RPMs go up. He's getting a little shove there. Going to decide to stay in line and push to 47.
And check out this mirror right here. This is what he's looking at. He's looking out through that mirror, out of the rear window. He's going to be spending a tremendous amount of time looking right there, isn't he, Junior?
Absolutely. He's got to make sure those guys don't get on that quarter panel on the side drafting like they're trying to do. Looking at the outside, you can see it on the side in the mirror right there. He's got company on the outside with Chris Buescher.
And you're spotting, so we talk a lot about spotters, but that mirror works as well. It's not all about the spotter. Sometimes you got to respond and react before the spotter can tell you.
Chris Buescher of Prosper, Texas, trying to go around. And of the 96, DJ Kennington. Can he straighten it out before he hits the inside wall? He does. They'll stay green if he stays going the right direction and can back up to speed. We mentioned he was up running in top 2 spot. He's from Ontario, Canada. DJ Kennington doesn't run a full schedule normally, but an opportunity here at Daytona. He doesn't get going, and so the caution will come out.
He did a good job there. He's driving that thing all the way through the slide.
7th caution of the night. And this one, no sheet metal was torn up.
Yep. Well, restrictor plate races, Junior. The smaller that number gets with laps to go, the more intense these restarts are going to become. It's unbelievable the intensity, how it picks up.
Eric Almirola is going to get the free pass, which will move Jimmy Johnson up a spot, but he's still a lap down. So Eric Almirola gets the free pass. That'll put 21 cars on the lead lap. DJ Kennington around, bringing out the 7th caution as we go NASCAR nonstop. Just 25 laps to go in the Monster Energy Cup Series Coke Zero Sugar 400. Well, Monday on NBC, new generation of young ninjas will face off with the greatest ninja veterans in a battle for the ages. American Ninja Warrior, all new. That's Monday on NBC. The 10 of Eric Almirola, again, we mentioned, received the free pass and thought they were going to come to pit road. Pit road was still closed, and so he has to make sure he doesn't go inside that orange square. He doesn't. Comes back out on the racetrack safely, but it was a close call.
Very close.
They thought they were going to come to pit road. It was closed.
Well, not only was it a close call because he almost committed, but he almost runs into the cars coming back up on the track.
Pit, 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 pit. Don't pit, don't pit.
Let's listen into the 10 radio.
One red here, don't pull up. One red. Back out, back out, back out, back. Closed. I don't know when, easy. I don't know when they closed it. He said open into 3, quick yellow, and then he closed. Easy.
Take it easy.
Even pitting gets chaotic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That was Joel Edmonds. Now, Steve, moments ago, we heard Chad Knaus complaining about what took place with the 48. Can you explain that?
Yeah, Rick, we talk about the chaos at Daytona. Well, we saw that 48 in his pit box, the fueler engaged, and as that car rolled forward and crossed the front line, that is black and white in the rules, a penalty. You're not allowed to service the car outside the pit box. Chad alluded that this is a new rule. He didn't know anything about it. Unfortunately for Chad, this is something that was cleaned up over the offseason. So you see right here, the fueler at the back of the car is absolutely plugged in. The 48 of Jimmy Johnson is multiple feet over the line. That is not even a questionable call. Last year there was some question about some details. They cleaned it up. You could do nothing to that race car outside the box. A clear penalty for the 48. So, look, Rick, you showed career wins. How about this? This is wins this season. Truex with 3, Harvick with 5, everybody else with a big goose egg. This is not just exciting for the guys on the racetrack, but this builds a ton of pressure to the guys that have already ended. If one of these guys win, maybe Wallace or Newman, Busher, Bowman, it will change the whole playoff picture.
Let's go back to pit road and Marty.
Hey, Rick, you think after watching that graphic right there, there's some drivers who are desperate for a win, including Casey Kane. I talked to his car owner, Bob Levine, earlier today. He said, man, it's been a miserable season. This is the team that let their crew chief who started the season, Travis Mack, go a few weeks ago. And John Leonard now in his 3rd race as the crew chief. What if they could win tonight, Kelly? That would be a party.
Yeah, how about the party it would be if the 43 of Richard Petty Motorsports and Bubba Wallace ended up in victory lane. They talked about it over dinner on Thursday and just how much fun it would be. Watch for Bubba to make a move to his front. His crew chief, Drew Blickensdorfer, told me that's what he likes about Bubba at these tracks. He's aggressive, not afraid to make moves. Others might be. Parker?
Oh, Kelly, how about if the Dillon brothers could sweep here at Daytona for the year? Ty Dillon running 10th place. Remember, he had an issue. He dropped to the side on the restart, fell all the way back to the tail end of this lap, and now has fought his way back after cycling the power switch on that car and has been running fine since. Dave?
There's Michael McDowell, front end of the 34 repaired and also side of the 34 repaired. The driver had never led a lap here in Monster Energy Cup Series racing here. He's done it tonight and has strength for the end in the 34.
He's led the 2nd most laps of anyone. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. led 51. Michael McDowell has led 20 laps at Daytona tonight. Martin Truex Jr., he's never won at a restrictor plate racetrack. Has 3 wins already this season, wants to make it 4. Casey Kane on the outside. Back to racing at Daytona.
Another great restart for Truex. He gives Bubba the signal to go, and Bubba gets up there and gives him a good shove.
And so much damage on the right side of the 43 of Bubba Wallace, but still running up in the top 3.
Good and tight on the top side. Bottom's tight too, so Truex is going to stay down there, get the help from that. Here comes the top. Here comes the top side. Truex
3 wide.
Not going to block that. He's side by side for the lead. He's actually going to lose the lead. Casey Kane.
Casey Kane, after running at Hendrick Motorsports for so many years, loses his job there, goes to the 95 team, and now Casey Kane leading the field at Daytona.
Now, you don't think Casey Kane's going to block, do you? I can promise you leaving Hendrick Motorsports, going to drive for this team. He wants to prove to the world that he can still drive a race car. You're going to see some aggressive blocking from Casey Kane.
A week ago, we mentioned how the 31 of Brian Newman was probably the hardest car on the racetrack to pass. What about blocking him? How hard is he to block?
Truex lost the lead. He got in line somewhere around 8th, 9th. Back to the bottom, though. Only car making a move there. Looked at
here comes Harvick.
Harvick to the inside. Corner
Harvick
panel.
in the 4.
He's got some help with Alex Bowman back there. He's going to clear. He's going to put, no, he's going to let him back to the outside.
He's going to need some help if he wants to get by Casey Kane.
A lot of people have come to the bottom right here. They saw Truex jump to the bottom. Now he's got some help. Ryan Newman runs to the bottom.
Bottom's tight.
Energy came on that bottom lane. Now that the leaders are going to have to block the bottom.
The bottom is tight. Look at Newman. He lost it again. There's Harvick back around Newman. Almost 3 wide here. 3 wide going into turn 3. Newman's in a bad position.
Clear, then 3 wide behind the 88.
There's a 95 spotter here.
Now 47 lead in the top lane, 34 with him. Majority bottom. First 2 clear in your mirror, all half apart. First 4 clear in the mirror, all half apart. 478 got to the outside of the 88. 2 wide in the 4's mirror. No help with the 78. Still 2 wide in the 4's mirror. 2 wide in your mirror now, all help bottom. Half back 4 with you, 88 half off of him. 4, 88, 14. 2 4s, 88 with you. Half back 4, 88 is clear, then by 3 to the crowd. By half, he's by 2. 88 falling off by 3. 2 wide in the 4's mirror now, 14 to the bottom. 1 back 4, 88 with a run, 14 lead the bottom, 88 going bottom. Come on, down, 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 down. 2 wide your mirror, 2 wide your mirror. 88 your run. Still clear, 88 is clear. 88 is clear, 14 with him. 2 wide mirror, top with the run with the top by half, 478 top. Bottom coming back to you, 470.
What a run by Alex Bowman in the 88. Moved up to second, looked like he had a run for the 95. Wasn't able to make the pass. Now Harvick back behind the 95 of Casey Kane. 19 laps to go at Daytona.
This is picking up again. Guys know they got to make the moves now. They got to try to put themselves up front.
Look at Martin Truex. He's worked himself back up into 3rd position. I think right now he may have the fastest car on the racetrack. That's who Harvick wants pushing him.
We heard Doug Campbell, the spotter for Casey Kane, mention 78 on the outside, no help. Well, he didn't need any help the last time he made his way up into the top 5. He did it on his own. Casey Kane out front. He's never won at a restrictor plate track. What a move by the 88, though, of Alex Bowman as we go NASCAR nonstop. You saw everything in NASCAR nonstop, incredible action, and so much carnage on these cars. So many cars beat up and banged up. Casey Kane out front. They've separated. Kane, Harvick, Truex Jr., Bowman, Boyer, Newman. Those guys all trying to pull away from the other pack. Listen in to Martin Truex Jr.'s radio and the intensity of what he wants.
Wade has the momentum, you gotta tell me. See what would have happened if I'd went high? Yep, 2-4. Gotta help me more, you gotta help me more if we're gonna win this, come on.
He's trying to get that information from his spotter to let him know what lanes are coming, because he wants to get up and get in front of that lane and block that lane and get momentum and speed from it. Earlier in the race, just actually a few laps ago, they didn't communicate well, and Martin is fired up.
We were on nonstop. We saw the action back in the pack. We saw the 17 car smoking the left rear tire. Well, here's why. Big side draft on the 10 and just ran into him.
Yeah.
No other way to say it. I mean, just contact, and that's got the left rear smoking. I hope he can go the rest of the race without blowing out. Look at the damage.
Looks like it's clearance itself now. No more smoke. Hope it hasn't damaged the tire too much, but
there's 3 distinct packs now. And are we in a situation where can the second pack reel in that first pack, or is Casey Kane, Harvick, Truex Jr., Bowman, Boyer, Newman, Eric Jones, Buescher, are those cars going to decide the winner of this race?
It looks like that first pack's the one that's splitting down the laps. I know those guys are on the bottom. See, they're not running the top. If they move to the top, which I think would be a mistake, that would let this pack catch them. So the Casey Kane needs to know that. This is a smaller group, less guys to defend off for this win. Stay on the bottom.
8 cars have separated themselves, created their own pack, running nose to tail right at the bottom of the racetrack.
You made a great point. If you make the move too early, then you drag everybody back to you. You drag that back on caution. There it is.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. around. The tire finally goes down.
Down in the grass, you're fine. Nothing else coming.
Paul Menard races down pit road because he wanted to avoid any of the problems. This is great for Jimmy Johnson. He was the car that was scored 1 lap down, the highest scored 1 lap down car, and so he will get his lap back.
Go straight to the track.
He's going to drive straight to pit road. He's going to go through the grass and come to pit road rather than going all the way around the racetrack.
Yeah, I don't think you can get around the racetrack without a left rear tire on it. Let's take a look here. Obviously, we talked about it. He's got the left rear tires going down. He knows it. Look at it shred that car apart. Look at all that crush panels, foam flying out of that thing.
Winner of stage 1, winner of stage 2. We called him a gladiator earlier.
Look at him. Watch this. Look at his hands. Trying to hang on to this thing. Look at all the stuff flying around the cockpit. He's looking around.
Still got 4 or 5 coming at
trying
you.
to see which way is which.
See all those flames down below on the left side of him. That's all just the tire blowing apart, taking out metal, aluminum, everything that's down there.
8th caution. And now, under 10 laps to go at Daytona. Casey Kane, can he finish it out? He's in front. amazing 2 weeks already as NBC comes back to cover the races for the Monster Energy Cup Series. Well, it's going to continue next week. Night race at Kentucky next Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern.
Man, I want to go downstairs here and talk to my crew chief, Steve Letarte. 9 laps to go. I don't care if I come down pit road. I can drive this thing to the front. How come you didn't bring me down pit road to make me better?
Man, I think even with a small pack like this, you don't want to give up track position. You got to keep it towards the front. This is really the most frustrating time for a crew chief. You get inside about 20 laps to go to a restrictor plate track, and we truly become fans as well. We're coaching our driver on, trying to cheerlead him in the spotter. But as far as duties in the race, mine ended about 15 or 20 laps ago. Now I'm just a fan.
Very true.
Well,
That's how it always went.
The next big decision is what lane is Kasey Kahne going to pick. So he's the leader of the race. He's going to be able to pick his lane, and I think what he's got to decide is 2 things. Number 1, who does he think is going to push him the best? And number 2, which lane is going to be better, the bottom or the top? And this is going to be a tough decision for Kasey Kahne.
And we've seen these drivers. They'll signal to the driver behind them when to go. All right, if you're outside lane, everybody can see you.
Right.
Everybody can see you signaling when you're going to throttle up. So if you're on the inside line, you're hiding that from whoever is on the outside line. So far tonight, that inside line has prevailed. And he can signal to the guy behind him, get that push. Nobody else in the outside line sees it. They get the jump. That's what I'd do.
And what makes it so frustrating is, you know, the option the leader or anyone on the front row has to take the lead can be back in row 2, row 3, row 4. So many times we've seen, you know, the push. It's not the front row, not even the front 2 cars. It can be all the way back as we see the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Rick, you mentioned it. He came down, had a penalty, rode it around, finally got his lap back, Dave. Now he's on pit road getting 4 tires.
And Steve, I mentioned the 2 battery changes earlier. It was an amperage thing that Jimmy was reporting, and you see he gets a chassis adjustment there as well. They just wanted to be safe. The first time it was kind of low. The second time it was not as low, but Chad Knaus made the decision to say, we need to keep that thing running regardless. So they've changed the battery twice. Now they get the free pass. Jimmy Johnson is back in the game.
Yeah, so obviously an electrical issue for Jimmy Johnson. What you have to ask yourself, Dave, you know, if it gets low enough on volts, it can start to hurt the power, and that's the last thing this 48 needs trying to come back through the field, Marty. They're going to have all the power available out of that Chevrolet.
Well, Steve, we always talk about the driver, but what about the owner? Bob Levine is a home builder from Texas with a passion for racing. 8 years ago, he started this race team out of his own money and has funded it from his own money for years. 165 races later, they still have yet to get to victory lane. Imagine what he's going through right now. I asked him a moment ago, you a little nervous? He said, what do you think? So, Junior, you've been in this position before. You're sitting here trying to get that first ever win as an organization. A lot of nerves going on in this 95 pit.
Absolutely. I mean, this is why they start this team, to go to victory lane, and they've been struggling to find victory lane for years. There's a very low budget team. They started this team to make a positive impact in the sport and their community. I mean, these are great people. Could be an incredibly important night for them to go to victory lane.
And this is why they hired Kasey Kahne. When he became available, they wanted a big-name driver, and they got Kasey Kahne.
Guys, it's been an incredible night already. Let's catch everyone up on what's happened.
Well, starting out, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he's been in the heat of the battle all night, good and bad. One stage 1, one stage 2. A lot of speed for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Not all of it's been good, though, Junior.
That's right. We're going to see the first accident where Stenhouse gets in the back of the 2 car. William Byron throwing the block. Stenhouse turns left and kind of goes across the back of the bumper. The 2 turns him around a little bit. This is the second accident where Stenhouse is getting a little crazy with the side draft and gets into the back of the side of the 18 car.
Martin Truex Jr., he decided, hey, I'm done with this. Too much craziness. I don't want to be in the middle of this. But then it became time to go get that trophy, and he just drove his car to the front and drugged that entire bottom line with him. Great drive back to the front by Martin Truex Jr.
I tell you what, guys, the one thing we didn't see was the wild ride that the 17 and 42 had also, because when the 42 went spinning around, the 17 got caught up in that.
Nowhere to go there. He doesn't know he has a left rear tire going down. And didn't really suffer a lot of damage. They did a good job repairing this car and giving him a shot until the left rear tire blew up.
All right, so Kasey Kahne's made his choice. He's decided he's going to go to the top. He's got Martin Truex behind him. I'm sorry, he's got Alex Bowman behind him with a little bit of damage.
Yeah.
Martin Truex Jr. is on the bottom lane. Martin's car pretty much unscathed, maybe the only one, that in the Toyota car, the only one that doesn't have damage. I don't know about this pick, but as a driver, you got to take your best choice, and you just got to stick with it and go with the guy you think is going to push you the best.
Yeah, I just worry that he's showing his hand, literally, when he gives the signal, which I expect most drivers will. When he gives the signal to Bowman behind him, he's basically giving the signal to Kevin Harvick as well.
And guys, listen, you talked about all the guys that need a win. How about the big three lined up again, 2 of them in the inside row?
Can they get another win? Casey Kane, the control car in the 95, and they're all coming up to speed together, nose to tail. The top 14 cars.
I don't know. I don't know if that outside line is going to do it for Casey.
Kevin Harvick on the bottom. Casey Kane up high. Under 6 laps to go. Down the backstretch they go again.
Harvick's still there, and he's got the momentum. 78's going to side draft the quarter of the 95, inevitably. But the 95 is hanging tight on the right rear quarter here of Harvick on quarter exit, but Truex going to push him through here, I believe.
He needs Bowman to get behind him. The 95 does. Truex not there. Harvick to the lead.
5 to go.
And now Harvick will try to block whichever line has momentum. Truex has cleared the pack as well.
Wow,
we saw how strong Martin Truex Jr.'s car was earlier.
I couldn't believe how close Truex got to his bumper right there. He falls back a little bit.
Look at that run the 14 had, pushing to 78.
Truex ain't going to take it. Wow.
He's just going to shove the 4 a little bit farther forward.
I wonder if he didn't take it because of his teammate, or the teammate to the 4 cars behind him.
Into the wall again. This time Eric Almirola caught up. The 00 of Joey Gase and the 34, who had a great run tonight, gets caught up in it, Michael McDowell.
Oh, Jimmy Johnson as well.
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson just got back on the lead lap. Not a lot of damage to the 48, though.
We're on your way, fellas.
And a wheel rolling down the racetrack.
That thing still has the hub and everything in it. Broke off from the axle, broke off from the housing, it looks like.
See the smoke on the right front of the 48.
Yeah, you see, that's where the wheel was on Eric's car.
Almirola
completely ripped it off of the housing. Wow. Jeez, must have been heavy contact to do that.
Michael McDowell trying to climb out of the 34.
I feel bad for Michael McDowell.
Wheel still going.
Michael McDowell had such a good night going, led some of this.
And now the flames from under the hood. What a great night Michael McDowell had up until that point.
Hey, they knew they were here, I can promise you that. He had a shot to win this race, showed he could run up front.
They'll put the fire out under the 34. They'll have to clean up these cars from the grass, which could take some time. I'd be surprised if they don't red flag this race.
See,
so the laps don't keep clipping off.
Moving his hand back and forth, like, not that he's hurt, but sometimes, you know, you're holding that wheel and you just need to stretch your hand out a little bit. So here they are, 3 wide, 4 wide.
Yeah, the 4 wide just hooked him.
Yeah. Just not enough. This track is just not wide enough for 4 wide. At Talladega, you can make it work. It's a little bit wider, but this racetrack is just not as wide as Talladega.
Here's another look at it. The 00 is already hooked. Turn down the corner. Joey Gase, he's just trying to gather it up. Nowhere for those guys to go.
And Jimmy Johnson's like, oh, I've seen this before.
That heavy impact with McDowell sandwiching Eric in the wall. Wow, what a hit. This shears that.
The wheel comes off, and then you see the 48 sliding down into the grass. The wheel actually comes back and hits the 10 and rolls over the top of it and then keeps going down the racetrack.
That hurts.
Look at this.
Yeah, I see the
The
tire.
wheel comes back, runs over the top of the 10, and keeps going.
Those hurt. When you're the outside car and the cars just drive you into the wall, those are the ones that, to me, just knock the breath out of you. It just hurts. I mean, it's just, those are painful wrecks.
Remember, Eric Almirola broke his back at Kansas when he was involved in a big accident. We saw him climb out of the 10. Again, the 9th caution at Daytona. Only 3 to go here. Cleanup continuing, and it looks like we'll go overtime again at Daytona. We have seen a few overtimes at this racetrack. We've seen some incredible battles that have taken place on the racetrack tonight as well.
Well, before this caution came out, we saw Martin Truex Jr. with a big run. Look at Clint Boyer. He gets to the 78. That air pushes the 78 back out. Now Martin Truex has a huge run, but he doesn't take it. He doesn't pull up beside the 4 car. He just runs into the back of the 4 to move him forward. It's an interesting decision. Watch what happens. You can see Kevin Harvick's eyes. He's like, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? Truex just stays with him. With that few laps left, that's a tough decision not to make that move.
I know. Will that be the decision Martin regrets? That was his shot, maybe. But he's got Clint Boyer behind him, so Clint's not going to help him go past Clint's teammate. So that's a tough situation that Martin was in.
Now the situation on the restart, Harvick, I'm sure, is going to want Boyer behind him, pushing him, because those teammates will work together. Marty.
Rick, tonight it's the 9 lives of Kevin Harvick. Let's see the wreck early on, Rodney. Then you have the bumper cover and everything. And here you are with overtime about to start, and you're in the lead. Are you as surprised as anyone?
Well, it's just how things work at these speedway races. You don't ever know what's going to happen. You just got to keep fighting all weekend long. But, you know, everybody at Stewart-Haas Racing built us a great car. I feel like the car is still just as fast as it was at the beginning of the race. And Doug Yates is texting me every 2 seconds trying to tell us what to do here. So would really like to get a restrictor plate win. You know, as a 4 team, we've been fast at all of them for 4.5 years now and hadn't been able to get one, so we're going to try like hell.
How do you do things differently on this restart maybe? Because I know that's been a topic Doug's been texting you about.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you just gotta get after it and try to make something happen. That 78 car has been fast. I think everybody knows that, but we got our teammate behind us to push, and hopefully it'll work out.
Kevin Harvick, Kelly, has been all over this field tonight, but right now he's in the lead.
Yes.
Yeah, but he'll be lined up next to the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. Cole Pern is the crew chief. You guys are staring down your first ever restrictor plate race win. What would you like to see out of Martin in this overtime?
Hopefully we can just get a good clean start. I mean, our car seems to have really good speed, feel pretty good about it, so who knows? I mean, it's, you know, so much of it's getting up speed, one lane stays together better, so hopefully it'll work out, who knows?
How have you guys managed to survive this long? We've seen you drop back, then you had the speed to catch right back up. What's the night been like?
Yeah, we've, you know, wanted to stay out of trouble all night, and we managed to do that, and, you know, here we're sitting having a shot at it, which is pretty unfamiliar for us, so who knows? We'll take whatever we can get here.
All right, we're looking forward to it. Rick?
It's been amazing. And so now you see them line up 2 by 2, and Kevin Harvick has chosen the inside line, which means his teammate will be right behind him with Clint Boyer. Let's listen into the 4 radio.
There's something to think about here. 78 speed 2, 14 speed 3, and the 20 speed 4. So if you're on the bottom, the 14 will be with you. If you're on the top, the 20 will be with you. That's a no-brainer. I'm going with the 14.
There you go. Confidence, right? I love that. I made my decision right now. Didn't even have to think about it. That was a great interview with Rodney Childers talking about Doug Yates calling him, texting him, telling him what to do. Yates Racing, Robert Yates, his dad, man, this is it. Plate racing, they love it, and they just have a passion for it. And you know Doug Yates wants to win this race. Plate racing means so much to that company and that family.
All right, Jeff Jr., take a look at this. Top 3, well, they account for 10 wins already this season. The rest of the top 10 haven't won yet.
You talk about Eric Jones. He snuck up in there and had a quiet but effective afternoon. Bain, man, you know, he's trying to prove himself, having lost some races this year. Casey Kane, we talked about him. He gave up that inside line and maybe chose wrongly on that restart. Can he rebound and maybe get his team to victory lane tonight?
Yeah, and Alex Bowman, Hendrick Motorsports driver, see Ty Dillon on the bottom of the racetrack, maybe trying to keep fuel to the fuel injection.
He's had his fuel issues, so he's moving down pit road here.
It's overtime, presented by Credit One Bank. Harvick, Truex, up through the gears.
Everybody's pushing. That outside line looking a little better right now, but we got to go down in the turn here, and the shorter distance is on the bottom. They're not together, though. Truex has got the help. Eric Jones, look at Eric Jones doing such a great job pushing Martin Truex Jr. in the lead, and they come apart, but Truex is clear.
But Harvick has no help. There's nobody on the bottom to help Harvick. Now the 95 is pushing Eric Jones. Now he clears Harvick.
The run is coming from the top.
In the 95, trying to move up toward the front as well. He's going to push the 20. The 78 of Martin Truex Jr. out front. Coming out of turn 4. Once they get the white flag, the next flag will call it the 14 around. Boyer into the wall. The caution comes out just before they get to the start-finish line.
Some big impacts.
Bain caught up, as is Bubba Wallace. Brendan Gaughan also in this. The 48 of Jimmy Johnson, Trevor Bain. A lot of damage to Jimmy Johnson's car. Ross Chastain, major damage to the 15. Overtime rules. You have to get back to take the white flag for it to be a complete race. Otherwise, they'll try again. This time, the caution came out just before Martin Truex Jr. got to the finish line. And we see Jimmy Johnson climbing out of the window. So they will try overtime one more time. You see Trevor Bain. He's won at this racetrack before, as you mentioned, trying to prove himself again. Clint Boyer got sideways in the tri-oval, hit the wall hard.
Let's take a look at the replay, get an idea how this all started. There you see Clint Boyer and Bubba Wallace. Clint's on the inside. Bubba's got a little tire rub there, but he's shoving and he just turns, pushing so hard. And Clint was moving around on the front bumper. And it hooked him into the wall. That's just real aggressive bump drafting. Here's from the 43 roof cam. And he just turned him sideways there, hooked him bad.
Keep coming, keep coming.
That's just really aggressive pushing. Really aggressive bump drafting, which is what's going to happen at the end of these races.
Yeah, they got misaligned. When they got misaligned, here's Kevin Harvick.
No help yet. Keep digging here. Very, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. Easy.
Two cars turned in front of Kevin Harvick. Good to see Clint Boyer able to run. It was a big impact.
Yes.
Clint hit really hard.
He sure did.
Harvick acknowledging the crowd as well. Two teammates are going to talk about it.
Two teammates, two great friends right there. Trying to figure out how that started and how that happened. You know they're talking about it.
Normally they would take a ride in the ambulance back to the infield care center. They didn't want to wait around for that. They decided they would take the walk themselves. And we're going to have another overtime. Still up front, Truex Jr. and Eric Jones. Now they won't have teammates to help them because they'll be on the front row together.
So we watch another replay of this, and Junior, you're right. It's that time of the race. You're going to push, and right there you see Bubba's pushing the 14, and the 14 moved to the left, and when he did, now he's pushing him on the extreme right rear of the bumper, and just like the wreck we saw earlier in the race, it just turns the car directly head on into the wall. And you know, when you're pushing somebody, how you are pushing them is so important. You have to have everybody has got to be lined up, and the most effective way is on that right rear, but if you get misaligned just a touch, boom, that's what happens. It just yanks it to the right. Trevor Bayne with a big hit too.
Yeah, remember these cars going over 180 miles an hour. And hard impact into the wall.
Yeah, guys, you mentioned this is how it starts. The 14 gets turned, big impact. But look at Jimmy Johnson come in. He's at the top of the screen. He hits the wall. Then he's into Clint Boyer, and he starts to turn left. He's going to basically come right at me. We talked about the pit box being in the center of the action. Well, this is another shot for the 48. And at this point, he's just along for the ride. But you see why NASCAR doesn't use these last three pit stalls anymore. This is basically pit stall 2. I'm one pit stall to his left on the NBC pit box. So you see how close it is. You see now how NASCAR makes the decision what pit stalls are no longer used for pit crews.
And people may be wondering why Jimmy Johnson wasn't on the brakes. Well, he was, but when cars get damaged that badly, it rips things apart and the brakes don't work anymore. There's times you just don't have any brakes whatsoever.
And you see fluid down. That was on the racetrack as well, so if Jimmy Johnson even was trying to get on the brakes, there was probably fluid down on the track in front of him.
Let's get a replay here with the roof of Ricky Stenhouse's car. He's mixed up in this one. He's slowing down. A lot of debris. This car is sliding everywhere, nowhere for him to go. Can't get the car slowed down. You're going very fast. So that's one thing going against you. And plus, you talked about the fluids and debris on the racetrack. You lock up the front tires and drives you right into that wreck.
Check this out right here. These guys knew what they were doing. Look what that says. Checkers of records on the back of the record. They knew what was coming, didn't they, Junior?
He's working tonight.
Haven't got to the checkers yet, but we will. 10th caution, now a red flag as the field, what's left of it, parked on the backstretch. Energy Cup Series Coke Zero Sugar 400 from Daytona International Speedway. Want to listen into a little radio from the 78 and the 20 team.
20 did awesome there, man. They sure did. Yards, we had it, but 100 yards. It's all good. We're going to do it again here.
Well, damn, it's exciting. I can tell you that, Jones. We always make it exciting.
Yeah, it's been a good super speedway race at this point.
So they're complimenting Eric Jones there as far as pushing the 78, getting him out front, and how close they were to getting that white flag.
Oh, that white flag means Martin Truex Jr. is the winner, but he didn't make it. So now he has a tough choice to make because he doesn't have Eric Jones behind him now. The guy that he said did such a great job, he's going to have to take a pick. He's got Chris Buescher. Is a guy he could pick. I don't know. I don't know what his pick will be, or Casey Kane.
Usually this is how it works. So if you're the leader and you're going to hand signal the car behind you, you signal for him to throttle up, not you. And so when he throttles up, that is an assured bump draft. Right. That's going to happen. And as soon as you wave for him to throttle, then you throttle like a split second later. That guarantees you'll lock bumpers, and then he can shove you out in the lead. And so to give that signal, I want to be on the inside and not show my hand to the guys if I'm in the outside line.
And the control car does that first, which right now that's Martin Truex Jr., whichever lane he chooses.
So I go to the inside.
And you also have to have the discipline. If he's not locked onto your bumper, you got to drag that brake. You got to put a little bit of throttle out. But the guy on the outside, he's moving away from you. It's so hard to do.
I will not lift off the gas. I don't even care if it's probably what I'm supposed to be doing. It's hard to lift and think that's what's going to help you.
All right, crew chief, Peacock Pit Box, what's it going for this last start?
Listen, I'm going to pick the bottom just because I think the bottom is the place to be. I think the cars on the bottom are forced to stay there through 1 and 2. They can't jump out of line. The guys in the outside row, 3rd, 4th, 5th in position, they can bail up. They can move up a lane. On the bottom, I think the push stays more consistent all the way to the exit of 2. Now, you get off turn 2, it's game on. I'm not sure what happens down the backstretch, but if you can just get the first mile of this track underway, I think you have the best chance to win it.
Okay, so the crew chief says get that first mile underway. Well, we saw them get almost 2.5 miles completed before the chaos took place in the trial.
Yeah, I'm not saying that outside line can't do it. We've seen it happen. But if you get a good start, get a good push into turn 1, and then you have the shorter distance, it just seems like the better option to go with.
Matt DiBenedetto, Chris Buescher running 5th and 4th. 2 names you don't normally see up there. Remember when I said Allmendinger was one of the 2 drivers that has 3 consecutive top 10 finishes at restrictor plate tracks? Well, guess what? He's in the top 6.
That's right. Back in 8th place, DJ Kennington, we've seen him spinning down the back straightaway.
The other thing that we've seen on these restarts, the cars that are in the 3rd lane can influence it as well. So, we're talking about, say, the 37 pushing the 20, but also the 47 being able to push the 37. That's so important, and they're teammates. So if the 47 can do a good job of pushing the 37, then that makes the 20 get pushed as well. So what I'm looking at right now is a 32 car. How can he push compared to the 47? Now we're 3 rows back, but it will influence how this restart happens. See, DiBenedetto has trouble. He has damage on his car, so I don't think that lane is going to be able to push as well as the 47.
Yeah, if they come off of turn 2 and the leaders are still side by side, the outside then becomes probably the more competitive lane.
Yellow lights come back on the pace car, meaning they'll go around one more time.
If the outside's organized off of turn 2 and they're still side by side with the leader, they definitely have the momentum and the opportunity to clear down the back straightaway. So if Truex can get clear, if Truex is going to get the lead, he's going to have to be clear by the exit of turn 2.
All right, listen, I've been paying attention down here, and you had me on the bottom. Now you have me on the top. You guys have had great arguments, but you've had great arguments for both lanes. I'm confused now where I think I want to be.
I don't like the top. I'm just saying that if you don't clear the top in 1 and 2, they're going to be a handful down the back straightaway because they'll organize.
Hey, Steve, just throwing one thing out at you. The last time Martin Truex Jr. was on pit road was lap 120. That's been 45 laps no fuel issues, right? I mean, we wouldn't have any issues with running out of fuel?
Well, you know, they're only about 5 laps away in theory how far they could go, but seeing as how 21 of those laps were into yellow, he probably has basically a half a tank of gas left.
Okay.
I mean, just so many under yellow, so I don't think that's a concern. Now it's going to be all about what the 2 drivers up there have said. The crew chiefs are out of it. Everyone's out of it. Now it's about who gets up the gears and who has the most help.
Yeah, I think that's the key, Steve. That's why I'm, you know, the last restart, Kevin Harvick picked his teammate and picked the line he wanted, but his teammate couldn't push him. Boyer was not with him in the outside lane. They were all hooked up together, and they went by him because it was a more organized push. And I'm just looking at the 32 car of Di Benedetto. It just looks like it's damaged to me. The front of the car looks damaged. The 47 car looks clean in the front. So I just think that outside lane may have better pushers. I like the racetrack on the bottom, but I like the lane on the outside.
Well, Jeff, yesterday we saw the pass come from the second row, coming out of turn 4. With this fewer cars, does that dynamic change?
Oh, I think it changes. I think it changes a great deal because when you get to the 4th or 5th row, you have cars that are destroyed. Don't have fenders on some of them.
Well, the fans know that it's about to get crazy again because they have all come to their feet one more time. It'll be 2 laps, overtime for the second time. Coming up again, Martin Truex Jr. on the inside. His teammate at Joe Gibbs Racing, Eric Jones, will be on the outside.
Eric Jones is still tight. He's still there on the quarter panel, but there's a big gap between him and Chris Buescher, and Truex is going to clear into the lead easily.
No help whatsoever for Eric Jones in the back on that restart.
Martin Truex Jr. well out in front now. All he has to do is block. But here comes Casey Kane to the high side. Kane wants to take the lead away as they go down the backstretch.
Great move. Now can he clear him? Truex side drafting him, trying to slow him down.
Outside line's coming. Outside line's coming.
Moving to the outside. Eric Jones is going to go by Casey Kane.
Green rod.
Eric Jones, Martin Truex Jr. side by side for the lead.
Outside line looks more organized. Only 2 cars really down on the inside.
Coming back to the white flag. If they get it, the race is official. 2.5 miles to go at Daytona.
With only 2 cars down there, Truex is going to have to side draft so much. He's not going to get a lot of help from Casey Kane.
Look at this outside lane. 47's pushing a 37. That's going to get him to the 20 possibly. Here it comes. Here comes the outside lane to the 20.
Down the backstretch they go. Eric Jones in the 20. He's in front. He got a big push from the 37 of Buescher. Here comes the 78 once again. Jones has never won in the Monster Energy Cup Series.
Easily blocked
the
that.
The 78 of Martin Truex Jr. has never won on a restrictor plate track. Coming to the Tri-Oval for the final time, Eric Jones has won at Daytona.
Listen to that emotion. He's happy.
Great job, guys. Great job, Rick. Eric, come on, baby.
Oh, you know he's happy.
That outside line got organized, and he came up and just gave him a shot and pushed him past Martin Truex Jr.
Career-defining night for that kid. His first win at Daytona.
And how emotional Eric Jones has to be. His first ever Cup Series win. His dad's not with him. He lost his dad 2 years ago. To get to race, Eric Jones's dad sold his Corvette, his prized possession, so that Eric Jones could race. Well, Eric Jones, after making it to the Cup Series, bought that Corvette back. And now he gets to celebrate at Daytona, the biggest racetrack NASCAR goes to.
And you saw the smile on Joe Gibbs' face. Joe's been very public in saying how bad he felt for Eric Jones because they've been running good and things just haven't worked out. And he kept saying, man, he's doing a good job, not getting the finishes. So tonight was a night where they avoided trouble, did what he needed to do at the end, and got the win.
This moment presented by Sunoco, fueling victories all season long and fueling the biggest victory of Eric Jones's life. The crowd here on this 4th of July weekend, they were able to see some incredible racing. The Xfinity Series last night, and now Erik Jones getting his first career win in the Monster Energy Cup Series.
Teammates with Martin Truex Jr. last year. We wondered what this move to Joe Gibbs Racing was going to do for Erik. Expected big things for him this year, and realizing his potential tonight.
Let's go to Rutledge Wood.
Rick, it is all smiles from Erik Jones down here, picking up his first Cup Series win at Daytona. Erik, how do you feel, buddy? You did it. Congratulations. Oh, boy. How about that race, boys and girls? Huh? That was something else, man. I thought we were out of it, and then all of a sudden we're right back in it and take the lead and ran away. But wow, what an awesome race. BuyToyota.com on here, and my first Cup win, my first win at Daytona, my first Super Speedway win. What an awesome day, man. It's I'm out of breath. Too much smoke in the car from that burnout. I can barely breathe, but what an awesome finish. Erik, the years of hard work, you came down, you got that checkered flag, all these fans on their feet. What do you want to say to them? Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a lot of hard work to be here, man. I was thinking about my mom and dad right after the checker. My mom stayed home from this one. She's gonna miss my first Cup win, so hi, Mom. And my dad, man, he would have been so proud of the work we did to get here. It's just an awesome day for us. Congratulations, buddy. Thank you. That's Erik Jones, your first-time winner tonight, Rick.
Said he was out of breath, but he's able to run to get the checkered flag. The 22-year-old from Byron, Michigan, Erik Jones, wins on the biggest stage at Daytona.
Erik Jones, right?
I think it's
You like to go get the win?
And yeah, he's good down here after a third.
We're here with you, and post-race coverage will continue coming up next on NBCSN as the journey to the most coveted ground in all of Daytona Beach, Victory Lane. And Junior, talk about this. I mean, this is a drive that this young man will remember the rest of his life.
That's right. I mean, he's winning on what I've told you earlier today, NASCAR's biggest stage. This racetrack is sort of the foundation of our sport, and he gets to drive into very, very hallowed grounds, you know, and he knows this. You know, he's such a racer and such a purist at heart. He knows how important and how big this is for him. It is a little bit of a long drive, so you get that anticipation as you pull in there at Gatorade Victory Lane. And you make that turn right there, and you get to see that crew. Those guys start showing their emotion, excitement, happiness for you.
And he's the real deal.
That is the best place to pull into after a race. Parker.
Guys, we're down here in Victory Lane. Erik Jones is going to get out of the car here. Daytona, bunch of Gatorade, confetti, the emotion of the first win. Eric, I know how bad you've wanted this first win. Just tell me what it means to you to be at Daytona and get it and be locked into the playoffs for the first time in your career.
Oh man, what a day, what a day. I didn't think we were gonna have a shot to win it there about halfway, and got ourselves back into contention. The guys did a great job getting this thing fixed up and getting the BuyToyota.com Camry into victory lane. I mean, I've never been that good on super speedways and never really thought this was our shot to win, but to get here tonight, it's pretty awesome, man. It's a first win, and there's not much that's felt better than this one.
What emotion, Rick?
You don't even care about confetti on your face. More live coverage from Daytona coming up next on NBCSN with the post-race show. Coming up next on NBC, your late local news, except on the West Coast. More first-time winners than any other racetrack at Daytona. And it happens for that young man. Eric Jones wins at Daytona.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.